my own thoughts into the silence, seeking the guidance I forgot. It's somewhere lost, lost to the pages, pages of chaos I forgot. Somewhere it must be written, I just lost my access to the night. Somewhere love has been, I chase the eyeball, can't let it go. It's a losing game, and I know that I'm to blame. I crossed the ocean and lost myself behind. I owe this to myself, to stay in the deep end, finally face the truth. How about you? Can you handle the riptide with help from the shoreline? What's the use? Somewhere it must be written, I just lost my access to the night. Somewhere love has been, I chase the eyeball, can't let it go. It's a losing game, and I know that I'm to blame. I crossed the ocean and lost myself behind. It's a losing game, and I know that I'm to blame. I crossed the ocean and lost myself behind. Can't let it go. Can't let it go. I like that. Hi, everybody. That's called, that was Lalaine. Lost Myself.
Did you wait too long? Tell him that you love him, but he's already gone, darling.
We already heard this one yesterday. I guess we'll hear it again.
You were never made to be the judge, darling.
This is Anno Domini Beats again.
She asked me if I had another minute and I ain't had the heart to leave. It's feeling like a cold dark wind and the sun still behind the trees. She asked me if I had another minute and I ain't had the heart to leave. One day I'll be everything you ever wanted. Until then I'll be out here riding like a dove through the cold dark wind. Did you say goodbye, knowing damn well everybody gon' die someday? Did you waste my time, knowing damn well we can press rewind? One day I'll be everything you ever wanted. Until then I'll be out here fighting like a southern through the cold dark winter. It's feeling like a cold dark wind and the sun still behind the trees. She asked me if I had another minute and I ain't had the heart to leave. It's feeling like a cold dark winter and the sun still behind the trees. She asked me if I had another minute and I ain't had the heart to leave. One day I'll be everything you ever wanted. Until then, I'll be out in the fire like a sun. Through the cold dark winter, it's feeling like a cold dark winter. It's feeling like a cold dark winter. It's feeling like a cold dark winter, and the sun's still behind the trees. She asked me if I had another minute, and I ain't had the heart to leave. It's feeling like a cold dark winter, and the sun's still behind the trees. She asked me if I had another minute, and I ain't had the heart to leave. It's feeling like a cold dark winter, and the sun's still behind the trees. She asked me if I had another minute, and I ain't had the heart to leave. It's feeling like a cold dark winter, and the sun's still behind the trees. She asked me if I had another minute, and I ain't had the heart to leave.
Oh, hi everyone. We might as well do Country Boy like yesterday. Oh, I made it so hot. Woo! I love this song.
Cause they know I got the sauce. Got the presents on me, I can't ever take it off. That's why I came country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Yeah, they can't get like me. Rockin' boots and white tees. Designer on my cup, drink something like a boat beat. Country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Artists out the range, I just told you that I'm bloody. I might take offense if you tell me that you doubt it. That's just what it is, yeah, I'm known to make it rowdy. And I'm for the fit, and I drive a wide body. Who you know, but like this, nobody. Can't go slow, I gotta hit that body. I'm the top, but the top, I can't never take a break. Yeah, I'm hot, and you not, that's why all my records pay. Oh, it's been a long, long road, gotta go. Yeah. Oh, and I know you know the way that I'm gon' keep on. Yeah. Can't lose flexing cause they know I got the sauce. Got the presents on me, I can't ever take it off. That's why I came country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Yeah, they can't get like me. Rockin' boots and white tees. Designer on my cup, drink something like a boat beat. Country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Yeah, why they mad at a man like me? I went too crazy. Better take that knee and kiss my ring. Cause I be royalty. Everywhere I go, my scene. And they be hating. That's such a lame thing. Yeah, y'all be lame things. I could never ever go outside like that. Yeah, my people got my back. And I know that that's a fact. Oh, I won't worry about a thing. I'm gonna keep on running track. Do you get what I mean? I got faith in my dream. Oh, it's been a long, long road, gotta go. Yeah. Oh, and I know you know the way that I'm gon' keep on. Yeah. Can't lose flexing cause they know I got the sauce. Got the presents on me, I can't never take it off. That's why I came country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Yeah, they can't get like me. Rockin' boots and white tees. Designer on my cup, drink something like a boat beat. Country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid. Country boy stupid. Yeah, I'm country boy stupid.
God, I love that song. I did 2 songs without dying. Oh my God. Holy crap. Hi. Who's here? Country boy, country boy, country boy, And it's spelled Kuntry. And that's on Domini Beats. I get these songs off the YouTube Studio free library thing. Hi, Freeside. Hi, Mary Jane Doe. Woohoo! Who's here? I can only go up a certain distance. Smoke Elijah, LMFAO. You look kind of like a young kid, maybe 18. Chill out, Granny. Are you kidding? Shit. Can't chill out when you're happy to be alive, when you go through medical things in your life and you see all the craziness around you and oh my God. And you're going to make it another year? Well, you know, it's on the 27th and today's what? The 9th. Oh my God, what is that? 17, 18 more days? Oh Lord. So, shoot. Yesterday I was just sweating up a storm. It's all kind of cold out here again. It's gray. That's why I've been wearing jeans. I haven't worn shorts. All right. Let's get into this. What is this one? This is rock. It's romantic and it's blue beat. I don't know. Blue beat. Let's see what this one's like. No.
In the moment.
Oh yeah, this is the one I was gonna play for Mary Jane Doe.
Feeling no pain. Long stretches. I get to remember it.
Play this for you, Mary Jane Doe.
Did I see my bed empty on one side?
Well, I put a cooler top on because I was gonna do one song that.
Only place I can hide.
Had.
In the morning, I'm wondering how I'm gonna
This is Blue Beat Review. Holy cow, it's hot.
And only your love gonna make me
I can't have the window open.
I close the curtain, sweating, shaking all over. Imagine you're here.
Imagine you're here.
Looking up at the door. I'm a better man with your love and without. Stuck in the seal. I may never make it out. I'm wondering how I'm gonna get through the night. Sick and weary. Only your love just makes me right.
Woo!
Only your love, only your love.
Can you house the sound, Mary Jane Doe?
Just a little, take me along the way. Won't you visit?
I wonder if people are going to act me out on Savage Livis for Halloween again. It's so freaking funny. Make sure you get this dance in. Be nice. How's the sound, Mary Jane Doe? My whole life wasn't glitching or anything yesterday.
I'm wondering how I'm gonna get through the night. I'm sick and weary.
I think you need to be stoned to get into this song. Hi, Jeremy. Long time no see. I think you've been in here before. How's the sound, you guys? Yay! Oh. You knew how stiff I was this morning. That's the only good thing about periods is you get the estrogen to keep your bones lubricated. Well, that and, getting pregnant, having babies is the only good thing, right? Oh, Lord. Okay, no more. Can't take it anymore. Oh, God. This next one is halfway in. And I got a dirty mind. That's what she said. Oh, Lord. Okay, this is the Soundlings, Never Coming Down. It's rock. I might have done it yesterday. Only halfway. Yeah. That's no good. We want the oomph. Oh, God. Here we go. I hope it's not too loud with the fan because I need it. I need it, I need it, I need it. What the heck? No, not that one. This one.
Press the backs of our hands together. It's still wet, so the ink should transfer.
No, the tip isn't enough. Good Lord. This one's cute. I played this yesterday, first time ever. Would It Matter? It's rock, it's inspirational, and it's by Rose Campbell. And I loved it.
I did it all, I played pretend. I moved the mountains to be your friend. I wanna know if it mattered. I would have gone to war for you. I would have bet the earth in two just to get to wherever after. Something about this has changed. I wanna
Crapners. Okay, this is the best. Mukbang by the Soundlings. Mukbang, bang, bang, bang.
Out of the pan and into the fire. Mukbang's all at once a player. Black man had to sell the empire. Bring hard wine to the deep fried messiah. Binge, 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 binge. Yeah, this is where your dopamine hit begins. Binge, 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 binge. Yeah, this is where your pouring of rich begins. Life is just a mukbang. You don't wanna be alone on the food chain.
This is mukbang. This is mukbang. That's one of our last on the food chain. Mukbang. On the food chain. My God, that song should be from Seattle. Okay, I'm not there. I'm 2 hours from there. Tina Belcher. Who's that? Oh, God. Now I'm really hot. Anyway, it's called Mukbang. Yes. Let's see. You don't want to be a mukbang. You don't want to be the last on the food chain. So apparently that must be what fish eat. I think that's what fish eat. I should Google it. Okay, where's my thing? I'm going to Google it. Oh, God, I got so many clothes in here. Oop. My meds in here. Meds for my heart, not what people are probably dang thinking. Some Dr. Pepper candy. Where the heck is it? I wanted to be prepared. Don't want to be a mukbang. Don't want to be last on the food chain. Don't want to be a mukbang. Bang, bang, bang. Oh, fiddlesticks. How come I can't find it? Where's my thing? Is it up here? Alright, well, I'll have to get in here. I for Dr. Pepper Tic Tac. And yeah. Find out what mukbang means. Now, I'm on an iPad. Here we go. Google. Wait, maybe it's not on. Google. Hey, Google. Hey, Google.
The mic's off.
Oh, for crying out loud. Okay.
The mic's back on.
All right. Hey, Google. What is mukbang?
According to Wikipedia, a mukbang is an online broadcast in which a host consumes food while interacting with the audience or providing commentary. The genre became popular in South Korea in the early 2010s and has become a global trend since the mid-2010s. Varieties of foods ranging from pizza to noodles are consumed in front of a camera. Just so you know, now you can explore complex topics or brainstorm ideas just by talking. When you're ready, just say, "Let's chat."
Hey, Google. Is mukbang on the lower food chain below fish?
I'm not sure about the answer to your specific question, but according to health.harvard.edu, and choosing seafood that's lower on the food chain, namely, small fish such as herring and sardines and bivalves such as clams and oysters, can amp up those benefits.
Okay, thank you. Or hey, Google, thank you.
I'm here to help.
Hey, Google, do you have a song called Mukbang?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Hey, Google, do you have a song by the Soundlings named Mukbang?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Okay. Hey, Google, do you have a Tina Belcher voice?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Hey, Google, who is Tina Belcher?
Here is some information about Tina Belcher. Tina Ruth Belcher is the oldest child. She is a hopeless romantic with a powerful sex drive and minimal social skills. She likes horses, rainbows, zombies, writing erotic fiction, and movies, as was revealed in Crawl Space. She attends Wagstaff School with her siblings, Jean Belcher and Louise Belcher. She is voiced by Dan Mintz.
Okay, I had no idea who that was, and somebody came in and said Tina Belcher. And yeah, that isn't me. Well, some of the aspects were, but as far as zombies, like I can't even look at that stuff or the games or anything. My daughter loves zombies and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And my son, not so much anymore. I don't like torturous movies. I can handle action, with guns, because I just, we know it's fake. But these torture things, like people sitting on a chair and a snake being forced down their throat and shit, or that movie Saw. I saw the previews and I was like, honestly, you couldn't pay me money. Like I wouldn't even be able to hear it. I had to leave the theater during Braveheart. I did. I actually did. I was like, I left right when the woman that used to be married to Sean Penn, the actor in real life, what's her name? She ended up marrying him shortly after the movie Braveheart with Mel Gibson, right? Was being tied up to the pole. I walked out. I said I was there with my ex-husband and his brother, and his mother. And yeah, and I walked out and I stayed another hour and a half, 2 hours out in the lobby. I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it. All right, that was kind of fun. Okay, hey Google, who is the band The Soundlings?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Okay, hey Google, where is the band The Soundlings from?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, hey Google, where is the music band The Soundlings from?
According to Wikipedia, the Sound were formed in South London in 1979 from the remnants of the punk band The Outsiders.
She said the sound, though, not the soundling. Okay. Hey, Google, can we chat about the Soundlings band?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I love that little Google thing, but you have to say, hey, Google, every single time. I sound like her? Teresa Belcher? Oh my gosh. Or do you mean this Alexis thing? Alexa, or whatever her name is. I sent you a screenshot on Messenger. Of what? I'll have to check that out, Mary Jane Doe. That's one thing I haven't been to in a couple of days. Michael Bernhardt is laughing with those green emojis with the big face, the big square face and the big mouth that Maria G likes to use. Jeremy, high sex drive. Fuck yeah. How about peaches by the presidents of the Excuse me. How about peaches by the presidents of the United States of America? Peaches? Is the band named Presidents of the United States of America? Can you imagine if a band was named that? How much attention it would get? And the name of the song is Peaches? I don't know. Let me look. Yes, Mukbang is eating on camera. Oh, Keith Wicklife is here. Rapper's here. What? Rapper said, Mary Jane, my cousin got in a motorcycle accident. Wow. Wow, that's really scary. They're damn dangerous. Even if you think, men and women, you're all cool on those things. Yeah. Thank you, Keith. What a nice compliment. Wow, you're beautiful. I appreciate that because when you slowly but surely get up in age, yeah. Okay, Sophie Lanesaker 6508. I don't like you. You're a wicked and malicious person. You speak about Katie in inappropriate ways, and she's a respectable person while you're evil. Okay, I only know of one Katie, and that was over a year ago when she said something about me, and I defended myself, as usual. Are you talking about blame Katie or don't blame Katie or whatever? Holy MILF, says Black Smoke. Funny. Hell yeah, gotta try those. Women always got loads of clothes. Yeah, I'm hurting. I can't move my arms, says Rapper. Well, you're not the one that fell off the motorcycle. I just Googled that character. Google, Tina. Michael Bernhardt. Okay, you were right, Mary Jane Doe. I thought mukbang was what YouTubers do when they're eating on camera. Well, I honestly thought it was like the remnants of fish, right? That fish eat. And then when the song said you're lower on the food chain or whatever, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not from Seattle. I've only been there a few times. I've never been up the Needle. And we've had to go there quite a few times to get to where my ex-husband is from. He has relatives in Bremerton. And for people that, even know that area, that's a real Navy town. Uh, yeah, but like I said on last night's live, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, think about it. He actually met back in the high school days, Kurt Cobain. Yeah, he was a little bit younger than my ex husband, and he met, and he's still friends today with the lead guitarist. Is it the bass player or the lead guitarist? I think it's the lead guitarist, Chris. Um, yeah. And so I'm 2 hours from there. And I mean, I've said my town before. I'm 2 hours uh, north. And I probably better not say my town all the time anymore. I think I better listen to Mary Jane Doe, my head mod. Gary Sidhu, 007. Fire. Thank you. Aryanji, 1136. I like to scroll through these lives. LOL. Never know where you will end up. I know. You know what? On this iPad, I hit it. Kind of. It was probably my tremors because I do have essential tremors. I try to ignore them and I cope, and it's getting harder to even pour coffee. I mean, I can eat and stuff, but things are hard. I mean, think of all the things you have to do with your hands. But I've had them since 1989, but they weren't really noticeable back then. And as I got older and had, stress-induced heart attack last year and a stroke in 2020, and I'm going to say it because it affects. Those things affect your short-term memory. Those things affect tremors and stresses in your life and worries and concerns. And I mean, I'm like, my cardiologist, the first thing he ever asked me is, are you keeping stress down in your life? And I'm like, I'm trying to the best I can, right? And that's the thing. That's why sometimes when these relationships on the internet become toxic, people feel close to you, and then sort of a year or two later, their true colors come out and how maybe they really feel about you. Or you'd think they would just do a little defensive video, but there's attacking ones before it, and it's like, I have to walk away, right? And it's my choice. Thankfully, I have that choice. So I'm gonna do a really neat video, and you'll have to listen with intent. Like, listen, it's a lot of words, a lot of information, but try to remember what you can, and it will help you in life. So, yeah. Now I can only go up. Well, hi, Scarlet's Forlet. Hi, she says with a whole bunch of exclamation points. Hi there. McDonald's fired me. That's the name of this avatar. Wow. You live near Canada. Yeah, I'm 20 minutes from there. I'm really close to Blaine. Why is my screen black? Says Michael Miller. Is it still black? None of these 94. You seem a bit loony. Okay, I'm going to answer that. And I don't take offense. And you know what? I bet I do. First of all, I used to be really kind of shy, and then I'd have beer with friends, and I liked the way I could mingle and be around people and feel, right? And I drank beers, and I had some shots here and there, but I was never into the booze that much. But of course, I had all the fancy drinks, right? The fancier they were, the more attention you get from the bartender, the more things cost, the more you tip. So then when the bar gets busy later, you just go like this and boom, you get served. Like, you learn the tricks of the trade. Not that it's like a proud thing, but that's what we did. And I've said this story before, but I was at a bar called, there was one in Burlington, Vermont in my high school days. It was called the Chicken Bone. I'm not kidding. And it was the most popular college bar in town. And I mean, it was hopping. And it wasn't all darkish and dim. The lights were really bright. There were stairs. And they played that, what is it? Ah, 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 ah. Do 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 do. I. Okay, who is that? Ozzy, right? And they would blare that song. You know, and it was just so much fun. And the college kids would be ordering, right, the cheapest beer and whatnot, and the 18-year-olds, because all you had to be was 18 back in the 80s to drink. And I'd be ordering, okay, and I'm not kidding. And maybe I'm tooting my horn right now. I don't know. But I was a waitress. And so I had, some money, and I actually had tips every night. And I would order things like a Long Island iced tea. And for a beer, I'd order a Heineken, right, from Canada. And then I'd throw in a stupid, not stupid, but a Molson, right? And then a bunch of Michelobs. And before I knew it, I was having a sex on the beach, right? That's a drink out there, grenadine and whatever else is in it. And then I'd top it off with, I'd be like, can I have an orgasm? The drink, please? And they'd make me that. And I mean, I was feeling good. And but yeah, I remember sneaking into one bar. I can't remember the name of it when I was 17, and they served me. I had a big ass pitcher of beer in front of me, and I was like, see, that's the thing. If you start drinking at a young age, I mean, I don't care what anyone says, if genetics are involved in your family or not, you're a lot more likely to become an alcoholic. And so many college kids become alcoholics and they don't even know it, right? They're going to the frat parties and all that. So I knew I was an alcoholic in my 20s, not really my teens, but I didn't care. Everybody was drinking. Yeah, I've had 2 kids. I have a 30-year-old son and a 22-year-old daughter. Yeah. And times are hard, and I'm a single mom, and frankly have been for quite a few years. Her father left her and I when we were, or when she was 5, and went on and was doing whatever. And I mean, it was weird, you guys, because it was close to 8 years and we were really getting to the nitty gritty of discussing getting married. And then it was like the next day, and I've said this story before, he wasn't answering my calls. I couldn't find him. And I thought he had a grand mal seizure by his phone because he's got that kind of seizure problem. No, he was cheating on me. I was just like, holy crap. And I found out because I put my finger over the people, and I heard this big, and I heard a woman in there, but I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's giving her a cigarette because it was one of those apartments where, I don't know. I really didn't think he was cheating on me. Our sex life was good. We're talking about marriage. We have a child together. He's growing up. Hey, I was 41. He was 25 when we met. And now, we have this baby. And, no, he wasn't a polygamist. He met someone online. And I'm not trying to be mean, but I know I look okay. I've gotten compliments my entire life. I just have. And I stay in shape and stuff. And I don't, go to the gym every day and work out. Look I don't even have any fingernails. I've never been into all that nail stuff. That's what amazes me. And I'm not knocking Southern women, but I have never seen so many long nails as people down south. They got to have the perfect nails. And that's really nice. But if you wear contacts like me, you don't know how hard it is. Putting them in is fine. Use that part of your finger. And I have contacts since I was 30 something. And getting them out, oh my gosh, I had some fake ones. I scratched my eye and I was just, and that's why too, as you get older, they can get a little brittle and break. And I'm just like, screw it. But like, I'm trying to grow my nails, see? But this one broke. I have a little bit of nail, not a lot. And I want to say here, I watch back my lives and I catch comments, and there's some things I have to delete, if they're racist and stuff. But oh crap, what was I going to say? Oh, when I'm dancing, and this hand's going all over, and this one is always up or out or down, I broke this finger. Not this past May, but the one before it. Now, it was just a little fracture on top, but it got slammed in the door by 161 pounds of someone, we'll just say. And it was crushed into the nerve, and the skin got torn up, and I was literally dripping blood. I didn't look for blood. I was screaming. I was like freaking out because to get him off the door, because I had my body in his bedroom, and we were having an argument, and he told me to leave, and I was, but I didn't get my hand out soon enough. And I mean, it was really scary, and I had 10 stitches all the way around, and I have past videos of it. But the thing is, I can only bend it that far. It's this thing, and it's even a different color. Look at the color, it's different. It's this reddish whatever. It's almost like I must have some kind of blood going through there. No, you're not disrespectful. A lot of people, they think I'm drinking, right, because of my tremors, or I have DTs from drinking. I did quit drinking in 2011. I had it. The courts got involved, things like that. And I haven't touched it since. In September, I'll have 15 years. And that's a big fucking deal because I was the kind of person that never felt happy if I wasn't drinking. I mean, I didn't even like YouTube like 10 years ago when my kids were showing it to me. People filming them when they're falling down, or, my son would watch skateboarding videos, and these guys would just, I'm going to say it, crack right on their nuts on the banisters going down and then falling on their head. And I'm just like, oh God, I can't watch this. But being a hostess over on Dolly Vision, and I haven't said his name in days, but I'll say it, on Dolly Vision's YouTube true crime channel for a couple of months, opened the doors for me, along with my friend Team Rose saying, you should have a channel. And I saw all the cyberbullying going on between creators, and I was like, hell no. But what doesn't kill you really does make you stronger. Oh my God, Silver. 36 years sobriety. Wow. Well, I had to go to AA, and I enjoyed it because, I couldn't be around my family. And it only lasted 3 months, but I was beginning to wonder. First, I was told I'd get my daughter back in a month. Now, I mean, I didn't hurt her or get in some car accident. I didn't drive. But when you're in such a bad blackout and you have a 7-year-old little girl, I mean, granted, my son was 15 and he was home. It's not like he's going to let anything take care of her, but neglect is neglect. I didn't get charged with that, thank God. So I have nothing on my record. You guys can look me up. But I had to, get my ducks in a row and take outpatient therapy. And that in AA was just so enlightening. But this is the thing. I quit drinking for 8 years when I found out I was pregnant. When I was married, I just stopped. I was busy with my son. My ex was still having his beers. I didn't touch it. For one, I didn't want to lose my son to like an argument or a problem. And for two, I don't know how people do that. Raise kids and drink. And if you're like me, who wants one beer, right? And then you have two and you're like, what's one more at certain time? And then you're like, that other one is worn off my body now. I can have another one. And then I don't want to be alone. I want to be around music and people, and I want to go out, right? And it's like, so I was never the type to pull the blinds and down bottles of vodka and stuff. The things that I've heard. I mean, I've never seen like spiders and snakes on the wall from drinking or coming off alcohol even, So yeah, my tremors are called essential familial tremors, EFT. And I didn't know. I saw a neurologist. And yeah, he said there's 10% chance, 10, I can get Parkinson's someday. So I'm really hoping not. Um, but my dad and my sister had them. And honestly, the more stress you go through, oh my gosh, right? And I don't drink coffee all day and that kind of thing. Well, hi, 15-second trivia challenge. Hi there. Were you in yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I don't think it was the day before. Were you? Make me a sandwich. Says you had really bad hallucinations. Yeah. And then, you guys, I got in and I did things. Like, it wasn't just to give back to society, but my sponsor said I should do it. And so I did it. And I don't like to always do what people tell me what to do, but she had 4 years sobriety. And when you hear that and you're on your first few days, it sounds like 14, right? But we went to a place where these young girls were like ending up getting in trouble for doing drugs. In this town, it was mostly METH or hero. We'll just say that. And they were so sweet. And my daughter, was younger then, like elementary or just about to go into middle school age or whatever, that kind of age. But we would bring a meeting to them, and they were so sweet and thankful. Like they'd come up to me. You just write your name down if you want to go the next week. I did that like 4 times in a row. I can't remember the name of the place, but it was, when you're able to like give back or help, it's such a reward. You don't want to go back to the life you had. And they would come out with their water bottles, I noticed, and their AA book or some kind of whatever, and they'd sit in these chairs, and they were always in gray sweats, gray sweatshirt, and there were about 20 of them. And but it was sad, and I'm an emotional person anyway, so I would get like choked up. And one girl said, "You remind me of my mother," and she was really good to me, but then she dabbled in drugs and now she doesn't talk to me. And it's just the stories you hear. I did that. I brought a meeting just before 10 years. I went to the hospital, first time ever, to the mental ward, and that was intense. I mean, we had to be buzzed to get in, and then we went through another layer of doors, and then we had to sit in this little lobby, and there was 5 of us. And then I think we went in first, and we were in this little cafeteria area, and they had AA material in there, and these people would come in, and I'm telling you, some of them looked really down and out. Like, I get choked up just thinking about it. They can't make eye contact. They're just looking at the floor or looking at their shirt. Low self-esteem or just some issues. And they would come in, and I'll toot my own horn. I don't give a crap. When the meetings were over, I did that 3 times. They were smiling, talking, asking questions. It's really a beautiful thing. And then of course I had to go to speaker meetings in different places. I mean, some were 45 minutes away. One was an hour and a half away, different speaker dinner meetings. And so I didn't just go to AA. I didn't. I got into things. And then every year, and I was petrified the first year, I stood up in front of like 100 people and told my story. And it was my group place, so people knew me, but still, you're at a podium, and I have tremors anyway, and I was emotional about my daughter and getting her back after 3 months, and that, I had to suffer and be alone because my family was in the Midwest to want to stay sober, you know, not just a DUI and a damn slap on the wrist or a fine. or even 30 days in jail. No, I had to um, so yeah, so that's the deal with that. So I don't have to be on my bicycle and be pedaling to the store and see an empty beer can on the side of the road and go, oh, natural ice. I haven't had that yet. Oh, I wonder what percentage, of alcohol that is, all in my mind, right? And then buy a 6-pack the next time I go. You know, I don't have to go to Carver's restaurant in Burlington, Vermont, like I did in my 20s, and they have 80 beers around the world, and sit there and think I'm all cool because I'm with my friends and try some, Chinese beer and then German beer and then, Nigerian beer. And oh my God. And after just 3 of those, even, you're wasted because they're so much stronger. And then when I was in Okinawa, Japan, when my ex was in the Air Force, we were both drinking, and I was sipping on, while he was at work, not every day, but this beer called Orion, Orion, Japanese beer. It will knock you on your ass. It tastes like just a regular Miller something, not Miller Lite, but Miller. Boy, so yeah, and I quit smoking too when I quit drinking, because that's really the only time I really wanted to smoke. I had to smoke when I was drinking. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here. But just think about these strokes and heart attack that I've had in the last 6 years. If I was still smoking, I mean, can you imagine? They're always listening to my lungs, and they're good. My heartbeat and everything. And since there's some new people in here, I'll just say it really quick. On June 2nd, I was on my bicycle because that's how I get around. I had to get off it because I felt so lightheaded. And then I started hyperventilating a little, thinking it was just my heart. Then I thought I was having a heart attack. Then I called 911. Then I had a panic attack. And I was like, I was talking and I was okay. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I sounded like that, you guys. I was like, I couldn't catch the words. And I had my second full on panic attack ever. I mean, in my whole life. And then I ended up, in the hospital, and I had AKI, which I've never heard of, which is acute kidney injury. So, in fact, I'm sipping on I take my leftover coffee from the pot and put it in the fridge in a pitcher and add creamer. I like the Italian cream, and it's like a cold coffee. It's really nice. And I know coffee dehydrates you and all that, but I can have one little cup, and I don't have it every day. It's people that drink it all day or all into the evening or whatever. You're not supposed to have any more than like a cup or two. So yeah, but I think I'm getting something pretty nice sent to me for my birthday. I won't say by who. She said I can announce it on my birthday if I go live. But yeah, and it'll help me with my hydration situation. And I have liquid IVs. I mean, I never heard of them, you guys. Lego hair. What is Lego hair? It's chocolate cherry. I just dyed it because the roots were coming in really bad yesterday. All right, let's get to this. Enough mukbang Google talk. Isn't this cute? I got to turn this off. I'm going to say goodbye to it and see what it says. Thank you and goodbye, Google. Oh, no, wait. Hey, Google. Thank you and goodbye, Google.
Okay, you've found the new leaving home routine. And just so you know, you can customize this routine. It can turn off lights, adjust the thermostat, and more.
What?
To customize your leaving home routine, take a look at automations in Google Home settings. Have a good day.
Oh, that's so sweet. I almost feel like crying. I have a new friend. Mary Jane Doe, I have a new friend. The mic's off.
Okay.
By the way, the mic's off. To turn it back on, slide the switch on the back of Google Home.
Okay. Put my little Dr. Pepper Tic Tacs in here. Yeah. Okay, so let's listen to this. Once again, I start out in wearing like a sweatshirt, and then I end up in a tank top thing because, like, seriously? With the window closed because, the children are out from school and they play at the playground right down there. Yeah, I don't ever want to feel that dehydrated again, you guys. Like, that was actually downright scary. But my heart was fine. They checked the enzymes in my blood to make sure I wasn't having muscle damage or whatever, Okay. So I got to set this in really carefully because the button is here and I don't want it to turn off. And I'm sorry I haven't said hi to the 16 people up in the palm trees. Not the bushes, the palm trees. Fiddlesticks. What did I do with that other? Okay. Just a second, you guys, all right? Let me turn the camera off really quick. Oh, hi, Barbara Thompson. Hello, sweet lady. Hello. It's so nice to see my regular friends, in here. And then it's so nice to have new people come in and even take a peek. And if I'm not your cup of tea, that's quite all right, too. I never really know what I'm going to talk about. And I like it that way. I'm spontaneous. And I even do different music every day. Okay, so the name of this program is, hold on here. There we go. All right. Okay. It is how to make people fear disrespecting you. No cruelty needed. And as most of you know, since the end of March, again, in my life on the internet, I was going through some battling or whatever you want to call it, where I felt like I had to defend myself against what was being said about me. Oh my God, this is so crazy. This thing generates 3,000 pounds per square inch of focus. Here we go. Make yourself easy to be around. And you did. Most of us did. Oh, for God's sakes. This is way too fast. Just a minute here. And everything to do with something harder to name. The most respected people you know are probably not the nicest. Sit with that for a second. Not the cruelest, not the loudest, not the most powerful. Just not the nicest. You already know this. You've always known this. The question is, why? Because somewhere along the way, you were handed a different story. Be kind. Be generous. Treat people well, and they'll treat you well back. Keep the peace. Be the bigger person. Make yourself easy to be around. And you did. Most of us did. And then we watched, quietly, confusingly, as the people who followed that story got passed over, pushed around, and taken for granted, while the ones who didn't follow it seemed to move through the world with a kind of ease that had nothing to do with cruelty and everything to do with something harder to name, something like weight.
Okay, I had the fan on. It's only been on like 12 seconds. I'm going to start it over. And these are the kind of videos with a lot of words, a lot of thoughts, a lot of information. And I can't even remember sometimes a quarter of it, or that's about all I can remember. It's 22 minutes long. I'm not going to be answering chat or even saying hello to anyone. And I turn my face off so that people aren't like studying my face or my hair color or whatever, and they're listening. Oh, nice. You're sitting outside diamond painting, says Mary Jane Doe. How nice. Boy, I could never do that with my tremors. Okay, so this is about how to fear people from disrespecting you, but not in a cruel way. And this can apply to a lot of people online now that are going through things and stuff also. So here we go. I'm going to start it over. You are, says Barbara Thompson. I am what? I don't even know what you're saying. I think I missed your comment before that one. You are. I'll see it if you type it in. See, this isn't StreamYard either, so I can put people's comments up on, but I like the lighting better. Oh, how sweet. Here we go. Listen with intent. Don't just hear it. The people that are in the palm trees and in chat and that hopefully stay for the whole thing, because it can really help you in your life. And you can apply it to situations throughout your life. Here we go. Then we'll talk more when it's over in 22 minutes.
The only thing people truly respect is the cost of crossing you. Not your kindness, not your patience, not your years of loyalty or your good intentions. The cost. And if there is no cost, there is no respect. Only the performance of it, until it's inconvenient. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this 500 years ago, not as a theory, as something he watched play out over and over in the courts and councils of Renaissance Italy, in the rise and fall of princes, in the quiet destruction of men who had every advantage except one. They gave people no reason.
How's the sound? It's not very loud, but it's the volume's all the way up. Does it sound okay? If I'm going to keep playing it and not interrupt it anymore, and if someone can let me know if the sound is like loud enough, that would be great, because I can't turn the volume up anymore.
Be careful with them. What follows is not a self-help guide. It's not a list of tactics. It's an examination of something far more fundamental. A truth about human nature that most people spend their entire lives learning the hard way. Let's start with something that might be uncomfortable. Nobody woke up this morning and decided to disrespect you. Not your coworker who keeps interrupting you in meetings. Not the person who stopped returning your calls. Not whoever it is you're thinking about right now. They didn't make a decision. They made an observation. And the observation was simple. There's no reason not to. This is the part that most people get completely wrong about disrespect.
Thank you.
They treat it as a moral failure, something the other person chose, something that says something about their character, something that demands confrontation or explanation or some kind of reckoning. But disrespect, at its core, isn't a choice. It's a response to conditions. Human beings are wired to test limits, not the bad ones, all of them. It starts in childhood, and it never stops. We probe edges instinctively, in relationships, in workplaces, in every social structure we inhabit. It's not malicious. It's not even conscious most of the time. It's just what we do. Watch a child with a new babysitter. Within an hour, they're testing everything. Bedtime, food, rules that were completely non-negotiable with their parents. Not because the child is bad, because the child is doing what every human being does when they encounter a new set of conditions. They're finding out where the edges are. Adults do the same thing. We're just less obvious about it.
Okay, I gotta run and get my notepad and take notes so I know what I'm even talking about when I'm done. This will take just a few seconds. Okay, I'm back. Oof. I thought I had a notebook in here, and I can't find it. Here we go.
The colleague who starts arriving late to your meetings, first by 5 minutes, then 10, isn't disrespecting you on purpose. They're responding to the fact that there has been no consequence for arriving late. The friend who starts canceling plans at the last minute, once, then regularly, isn't deciding you don't matter. They're responding to the fact that you've always rescheduled without complaint. The pattern isn't about you. It's about the absence of resistance. And when we find an edge with no resistance, we move past it. Not because we're trying to cause harm, because there's nothing telling us to stop. Think about every situation where you felt disrespected. Really think about it. Was there a moment before it got to that point where you could have held a line and didn't? Where you absorbed something you shouldn't have absorbed? Where you gave the benefit of the doubt one too many times? Not because you were weak, because you were decent, because you believed that if you treated people well, they would eventually treat you well back. But decency and leverage are not the same thing. And the world, as Machiavelli spent his life documenting, does not run on decency. It runs on consequence. You were never the problem. The absence of consequence was. And this is precisely where Machiavelli enters the picture. Not as a theorist, as a witness. In 1513, locked in a small farmhouse outside Florence, after being exiled from the city he had served his entire life, Machiavelli wrote the book that would make him famous and infamous in equal measure, The Prince. And in it, he posed a question that still makes people uncomfortable today. Is it better to be loved or feared? His answer was neither simple nor cruel. He said, ideally, both. But if you cannot have both, and in his experience, you rarely could, fear was the more reliable foundation. Most people stop reading there. They hear fear and they hear ruthlessness, coldness, the advice of someone who has given up on human goodness. But that's not what he was saying. He was saying something far more precise, something that only makes sense when you understand what he'd observed about the nature of love, not as an experience, but as a mechanism of social control. Love, Machiavelli wrote, is held together by obligation. An obligation, he noted, is broken the moment it becomes inconvenient. Read that again. People love you when it costs them nothing to love you. When loving you aligns with their interests, their comfort, their self-image. When the relationship is easy, and the sun is out, and nobody is being asked to sacrifice anything. But the moment circumstances shift, the moment their interests diverge from yours, the moment keeping your relationship intact requires them to pay some kind of cost, that obligation starts to loosen. Not dramatically, not all at once, just quietly, the way things erode. You've seen it. The colleague who praised your work until you were competing for the same position. The friend who had your back until having your back became expensive. The person who loved you completely until loving you completely required them to change. This is not a cynical view of human nature. It's just an accurate one. Most people are not cruel. Most people are not calculating. Most people genuinely believe, in the moment, that they will show up for you, that their affection is reliable, that the relationship means what they say it means. And then circumstances test that belief. And they discover, often to their own surprise, that what they felt was real, but what they were willing to do about it had limits they hadn't previously identified. That's not a character flaw. That's just how people work when self-interest and loyalty point in different directions. Machiavelli had watched this play out at the highest levels of power. Princes abandoned by allies the moment the political winds shifted, leaders betrayed by men who had sworn undying loyalty, relationships that looked unshakable from the outside, dissolving the moment they were actually tested. And from all of it, he drew one conclusion. If the only thing holding someone's behavior in check is how they feel about you, you are not protected, you are just lucky. And luck runs out. Fear operates on a completely different logic. And here is where Machiavelli was most misunderstood. He was not talking about terror. He was not talking about dominance through violence or intimidation.
This AI can forecast U.S. stock prices to the penny. This is where it says NVIDIA stock will close tomorrow. You can view this forecast.
He was making a clinical observation about how consequence shapes behavior in a way that emotion simply cannot. When someone fears the cost of crossing you, not fears you as a person, but fears the specific, real consequence of a specific action, that calculation doesn't change with their mood. It doesn't erode when they're having a bad week. It doesn't get revised when it's inconvenient. It holds. Because it's not emotional, it's rational. Love tells you how someone feels today. Fear tells you how they'll behave tomorrow. But before we go further, this word needs to be handled carefully. When most people hear "make people fear you," they imagine something theatrical, a raised voice, a show of force, the kind of dominance that announces itself loudly and keeps everyone walking on eggshells. That's not fear. That's anxiety. And it produces exactly the outcomes Machiavelli warned against. People who perform compliance while privately building resentment, waiting for the moment they can act against you without consequence. Real fear, the kind that commands genuine respect, is quieter than that. It's not about what you do when you're angry. It's about what people believe you're capable of when they're deciding whether to cross you. There's a difference between a person who explodes when provoked and a person who, when provoked, becomes very still, very clear, and proceeds to demonstrate, without drama or excess, that there is a cost. The first person is predictable. People learn how to manage them, how to soften the blow, how to wait out the storm, how to maneuver around the reaction without actually changing their behavior. The second person is something else entirely. Because you can't manage clarity. You can't wait out certainty. You can't maneuver around someone who isn't performing, who isn't angry, who isn't hurt, who is simply and completely resolved. That resolution, that's what fear actually is. Not the emotion of being frightened. The recognition, in the person across from you, that this individual has limits, that those limits are real, that crossing them will produce a consequence, and that the consequence will not be negotiable. This is also why it has nothing to do with size, volume, or status. You don't need to be the most powerful person in the room. You don't need a title, a platform, or any external marker of authority. You just need to be someone who means what they say, consistently, without exception. That consistency, more than anything else, is what creates the recognition. Because people are always watching. They're building a picture of who you are from every interaction, every response, every moment where you either held the line or didn't. And that picture, once formed, is very hard to revise. Which means the work isn't in any single confrontation, it's in the pattern. And that consequence doesn't have to be exercised constantly to do its work. A locked door doesn't have to slam in anyone's face to do its job. It just has to be locked. Which brings us to the place where most people fail. Not because they lack leverage, because they don't signal it. Think about the last time you were in a situation where you had more power than you used, where you had the ability to push back, to hold a line, to make a cost real, and you didn't. Maybe you told yourself it wasn't worth it. Maybe you were trying to keep the peace. Maybe you genuinely believed that absorbing it this time would earn you goodwill. It didn't. What it earned you was a data point in someone else's mental model of who you are and what they can expect from you. And that data point said, this person will not push back. This position is negotiable. This limit is theoretical. Here's the brutal truth about leverage. Leverage that isn't signaled doesn't exist. You can have every advantage in a situation, more options, more resources, more ability to walk away than the other person, and if they don't know it, it changes nothing. You are negotiating from a position of invisible strength. And invisible strength is, functionally, no strength at all. Machiavelli watched this destroy leaders who should have been untouchable. Men with real power, real capability, real options, who, out of some combination of conflict avoidance, and misplaced generosity consistently failed to signal what they were capable of. And because they never signaled it, the people around them gradually stopped believing in it. There's a particular kind of person who has this problem. They're often the most competent person in the room, the most capable, the one with the most genuine options. And precisely because they're secure in their own ability, they don't feel the need to demonstrate it. They know what they're worth. They assume other people can see it. But people don't see what you don't show them. They construct their understanding of you from the evidence available, from your behavior, your responses, your reactions to pressure. And if that evidence consistently shows someone who absorbs and accommodates and adjusts, that's the picture they build, regardless of what's actually true. Signaling leverage isn't arrogance. It isn't aggression. It's just making sure the picture people have of you is accurate. The problem isn't that you don't have leverage. The problem is that you've been hiding it, not as a strategy, but out of fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of being seen as difficult. Fear that if you show people what you're capable of, they won't like you as much. But here's what that fear is actually costing you. Every time you hide your leverage, you are not avoiding conflict. You are deferring it. You are pushing it forward in time, while simultaneously making it harder to resolve. Because now you're not just dealing with the original situation. You're dealing with the accumulated weight of every time you didn't hold the line. And by the time it becomes unavoidable, you're not pushing back from a position of strength. You're pushing back
Okay, I
from a
gotta hear
position
that
of
part
exhaustion.
one more time.
That if you show people what you're capable of, they won't like you as much. But here's what that fear is actually costing you. Every time you hide your leverage, you are not avoiding conflict. You are deferring it. You are pushing it forward in time, while simultaneously making it harder to resolve. Because now you're not just dealing with the original situation. You're dealing with the accumulated weight of every time you didn't hold the line. And by the time it becomes unavoidable, you're not pushing back from a position of strength. You're pushing back from a position of exhaustion, of accumulated resentment, of someone who has waited too long and is now reacting instead of responding. That's the worst possible moment to find your limit. Because by then, it doesn't look like a limit. It looks like a breakdown. The moment you hide what you're capable of, you've already lost. Now here's the part that most people misunderstand about everything we've discussed so far. You don't need to enforce constantly. Machiavelli wasn't prescribing a life of perpetual hardness. He wasn't saying that every interaction should carry the weight of consequence, that every relationship should be structured around the implicit threat of punishment. What he was saying, and what the most strategically aware people have always understood, is that a single moment of absolute clarity can do more work than years of accumulated softness. One moment where you hold the line completely, where you do not negotiate, do not soften, do not explain yourself into a smaller version of what you actually mean, where the limit is stated once, plainly, and then simply held, not with anger, not with drama, with the particular kind of stillness that only comes from someone who knows exactly what they will and will not accept, and has stopped needing anyone else's permission to act accordingly. That moment changes something, not just in the immediate situation, in the entire architecture of how that person relates to you going forward, because now they have real information, not a theory about who you are. Evidence. And people don't forget evidence. They might push again, once, maybe twice, to test whether the moment was real or performative, whether you meant it or whether you were just having a bad day. But if the limit holds, if the cost is real, if the clarity doesn't waver, they recalibrate permanently. Consider what that moment actually looks like. It's almost never dramatic. The most effective limits aren't delivered with raised voices or ultimatums or theatrical declarations. They're delivered in the same tone you'd use to state any other fact. That doesn't work for me. That's not something I'm willing to do. We agreed on different terms. I'm not moving forward on these ones. No apology attached, no extensive explanation, no invitation for negotiation on the limit itself. Just the fact of it, stated plainly, and then held. The silence that follows that kind of clarity is different from any other silence. It has weight, because the other person is no longer processing what you said. They're processing what it means, about you, about where things stand, about what kind of person they're actually dealing with. And that processing produces something that no amount of goodwill or patient accommodation ever could. Recalibration. This is what Machiavelli meant when he wrote about the occasional use of force being more effective than constant force. It's not about frequency, it's about credibility. A consequence, administered once, clearly,
at the right moment is worth more than 100 threats that were never followed through. Because after that moment, you don't need to threaten anyone. They already know. One moment of absolute clarity does what years of patience never could. But Machiavelli was not naive about any of this, and neither should we be. He spent enough time in the courts of Renaissance Italy watching powerful men overplay their hand to understand that fear, misused, destroys the very thing it's meant to protect. He documented it precisely. A ruler who governed through fear alone, who made every interaction carry the weight of potential punishment, who surrounded himself with an atmosphere of permanent threat, did not create loyalty. He created performance. People around him stopped telling the truth, not because they were dishonest, but because honesty had become dangerous. They started filtering everything, every report, every observation, every piece of information, through the question, will this displease him? And so the ruler, surrounded by people who were terrified of him, gradually lost his grip on reality. He started making decisions based on a version of the world that his own fear had constructed. A world where everyone agreed with him, where there were no problems he hadn't already solved, where dissent had been so thoroughly punished that it had simply ceased to exist. Until, of course, it came back, all at once, in the form of conspiracy, collapse, or the slow rot of an organization that had stopped being honest with the person at its center. There's a version of this that plays out at every scale. The manager everyone is terrified to bring bad news to, who consequently makes decisions without accurate information. The partner whose anger is so unpredictable that the other person stops sharing anything real, who consequently drifts through a relationship that's slowly become a performance. The leader whose need to be right has become so well known that no one around them risks an honest disagreement, who consequently loses access to the very intelligence that could keep them ahead. In every case, the mechanism is the same. Fear that is too large, too constant, too indiscriminate, doesn't control people. It blinds you. Because the information stops flowing, the honesty disappears, and you are left with a room full of people who have learned very precisely what you want to hear, and are delivering it to you on schedule. This is why the goal was never to be feared. The goal, the real goal, the one that actually produces lasting respect, is something more specific than that. It's not about making people afraid of you. It's about being someone whose limits are so clear, whose follow-through is so consistent, whose position is so unambiguous, that testing you never feels like a reasonable option. Not because the consequences are catastrophic, because they're certain. There's a difference between a person people are afraid of and a person people don't dare cross. The first produces anxiety, the second produces respect. Anxiety is unstable. It breeds resentment, it invites rebellion, it exhausts everyone, including the person generating it. Respect, real respect, the kind built on the clear understanding that this person means what they say, is something else entirely. It's stable, it's quiet, and it doesn't require you to perform anything. The goal is not to be feared. The goal is to be someone nobody dares to test. And now we can come back to where we started. The most respected people you know are probably not the nicest. You understand now why that's true. Their respect was never built on being liked. It was built on something quieter, something that took longer to develop, something that most people spend years trying to fake before they realize it can't be faked. It was built on the clear, settled, undramatic understanding, in everyone around them, that this person means what they say, that their limits are real, that crossing them has a cost, and that the cost will not be negotiated away with the right tone, or the right timing, or the right apology. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince because he believed human beings were evil. He wrote it because he believed they were human, because he had spent his life watching what people actually do, not what they say they'll do, not what they believe about themselves, but what they do when the conditions allow it. And what he observed, over and over, was this. People rise to the level of consequence around them. Give them no reason to be careful, and they won't be. Give them a clear, certain, undramatic understanding that there is a cost, and something shifts, not in how they feel about you, in how they treat you. That shift doesn't require you to become someone else. It doesn't require hardness or coldness or any kind of performance. It doesn't require you to stop being generous or patient or kind. It only requires one thing, that you mean what you say, that when you establish a limit, it is real, that your patience, as genuine as it is, has an edge, that anyone who pushes far enough will find it not because you're waiting to punish them, but because you have never confused accommodation with self-erasure. The people who carry this quality, and you've met them, even if you couldn't name what it was, have a particular kind of presence. There's nothing aggressive about it, nothing threatening. They're often the warmest people in the room. But there's something underneath the warmth that you can feel without being able to explain it. A settledness, a completeness, the sense that this person has already decided who they are and what they will and will not accept, and that no amount of pressure, flattery, or manipulation is going to revise that decision. That quality is not performed. It can't be. It comes from somewhere real, from the accumulated experience of having held lines when it was difficult, of having enforced limits when it would have been easier not to, of having learned, through actual practice, that the world does not end when you refuse to be pushed around. It comes from knowing your cost. And once people know whose they've encountered it, even once, in a way that left no room for ambiguity, they carry that knowledge forward. They don't forget. 500 years after Machiavelli put it into words, human nature hasn't changed. The courts of Renaissance Italy and the offices and relationships of today are different in almost every way, except one. People still respect the cost of crossing you, and they always will.
It takes 90 seconds for this NASA-engineered AC cool down your room. It's smaller than a toaster, cools any room in 90 seconds, and uses just a fraction of the energy of a regular AC.
Okay, that was it.
There's a version of you that nobody can mess with.
Damn it. Okay. So I don't know. I listened to that whole thing. Okay, and I did one 2 days ago. And I really like Machiavelli's beliefs. Never heard of the man before. The one I did 2 days ago was Carl Jung. I thought it was Jung. I guess it's pronounced Jung. His beliefs, psychological beliefs, and they make sense, right? I mean, it makes sense. It's like with a child. If there isn't a consequence, I see it all the time out on the playground. These parents say calmly, okay, if you do that again, you're going to leave the playground and have to come inside. And then the kid doesn't get off the slide or listen or pay attention, right? And then the mother, the dad gets a little more, okay, that's it, da-da-da. And they test the limits. And then the next thing you know, the child is running farther away. Like I just saw it like a week ago. Like it's supposed to come inside for whatever reason, lunch, nap time, rain is coming, whatever. And this child ran farther away, like, well, I'll show you, I'll run for you. And the parent gave up. Like didn't say, oh, okay, you can have your way, just gave in. Well, you know, and I don't believe in spanking and hitting and all of that, and I never have. But I do believe there should be consequences. You're getting dressed to walk your dog, Mary Jane? So let me see. I didn't see the chat at all. I'm trying to fix my arm. What's wrong with your arm? Wrapper. So I'm going to go over a few of these. What I got out of that is consequences is the absence of resistance. I'm just going to read what I wrote. Decency is not the same thing as having leverage on someone. So you can be decent, which I try to be and am trying to be and will continue to be in my situations. Fear, putting the fear into someone like, oh, if you don't talk to this person or you don't become friends with this person or you don't answer this person, then other people aren't going to like you and they're not going to want to be your friend, and your persona couldn't possibly be good if this is what's showing on the internet or whatever. All of those tactics are not reliable. Those were just examples of what I've gone through.
And it's actually mechanics of social control. So I hope Team Rose sees this live. She's been watching my lives lately. And, many times, like other people, I hear, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not going to put up with this. And then they put up with it. And so it doesn't, there's no clarity. You have to be clear and forthright in your intentions verbally. And then apparently Machiavelli really watched people. It wasn't what they said they were going to do. He watched to see if they were going to do it, follow through in their beliefs of their situation. Then there's self-interest and loyalty. Self-interest and loyalty point in different directions. So there's loyalty, right, to someone, no matter what is said or done or whatever, right? But then there's also your own self-interest, and that's important to be true to yourself. When people feel their feelings, right, they say it's to protect you, but it's really not. The consequence shapes the behavior, and I truly believe that. Love is something you can feel today, and fear is how you're treated tomorrow. Oh, that's so weird. Barbara Thompson was hidden by Mary Jane Doe. The only way that could be, because they're both friends, did Rapper come in and say something as Barbara Thompson or something? Because I don't understand that one at all. So remember that. Love is what you feel today. Fear is how you'll be treated tomorrow. And with the fear brings anxiety, and you feel like you have to comply, right? Compliance, and then you end up resenting the person. Their beliefs are brought on by the fear. And you, the other person that's dealing with this kind of stuff, needs to be predictable. Oh, okay. Now you're unhidden by Mary Jane Doe. So it was just some kind of typo or something. You need to be predictable. Clarity, which is you manage clarity and resolute. You're resolute in your beliefs. There's no going back with a simple apology when umpteen damn lives were made on you before you even defended yourself, bashing you. I mean, that's just not a friend, period. Limits. Limits have consequence, and they're not negotiable. Okay, just because other people try to get you in a little powwow and talk things out. I was making up my mind back in March. Okay, but the door wasn't closed. It was when people didn't give me the time to process, like Team Rose says, or make my own decisions in the timing I wanted to do things, became angry and pushy and threatening my other friends against me or to take them from me or whatever, that I saw truth in that person, and I didn't like what I was seeing. And it honestly brought back memories of other things I had been through the past 2 years. And I'm already having like physical medical issues, and I don't need that kind of stuff in my life. And I can't have it. Okay? Even if I wanted to, like, completely, utterly, like, not just forgive, which I was trying to do by extending an olive branch and stuff, but forget. Even that, I can't mentally and mostly physically afford taking chances on things where I don't see change, real change. to me, it's almost like someone that drinks and says, okay, they're going to at least cut down and they're sneaking beers on the side. Or I'll try AA, and months and months and months and months and months go by. The saying is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. McDonald's fired me. Do I date much younger men? I used to. I mean, my ex-husband was 6 years younger, so that's not really, Shaylin's dad, I mean, that wasn't planned at all. He was around this apartment complex, and I met his sister, and she introduced us, and I was in a not a happy marriage at that point, and we were separated, but we were not legally divorced, and I got involved and pregnant pretty soon after that, and he went ahead and moved to Oregon. Uh, and then he came back when I was pregnant, and we stayed together 8 years. But then he ended up with someone else from the Colorado area, which, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but kind of frumpy and not a stitch of makeup. Nobody that tried to make her. It was almost like he was going out with her to be with someone that wouldn't leave him. Like, I'm not even kidding. They ended up having 2 little girls together. Yeah. And he's not in their lives either. Okay, so back to this. So I liked it when he said there's a data point. There's a data point, which that means that there are no expectations of that person. He was 16 years younger because he was 25 and I was 41, right? So 35, 40, yeah, 41. Yeah. And then, and you have to be positive, and it's not negotiable. And what according to Machiavelli that is invisible strength. You know what strength you have. You know what your body can handle. You know if a friendship is worth hanging on to. You know that even if I had apologized, which I don't honestly feel I've done anything wrong. I don't. When you're defending yourself, that's being assertive, not aggressive. But if you're calling someone names and saying their skin is wrinkly or they need more lotion and they this and they that, okay, you know what that is? Bullying. That's bullying. I've never been a bully. Never. I'm so against it. I've never been through it. Both of my kids were bullied in high school. My son is just a little 5-year-old by some kid. I don't know if he was jealous or what, but it was so bad in elementary school for Parker that this other kid was not allowed to be in the library when my son was there. And they were in the same class on top of everything. Now, think about that. That's intense for a principal to say that to this kid and tell the parents. Guess what? It still went on. It still went on. So guess what I did? I pulled him out of school. And I waited. He finished that year home, and then he went back for first grade. And that other boy had moved, thankfully. I don't even remember his name. And then my daughter went through it with a mother that used to live here and her daughter. And I mean, I'm just going to say it. They were African American, and she started out being my friend. We had a glass of wine together now and then and all this. But when she became really hardcore, like drunk, I mean, she punched a cop in the nose once, and I ended up seeing her at AA when we weren't even talking. And her little daughter, I won't say their names or anything. This was how many years ago? 10 or something now. Just picked on Shaylin for everything. Oh, you're a baby because you have lights on your shoes. And oh, when she would do math, she would peer over like she didn't know what she was doing. She purposely, when Shaylin had her little tray to sit down for lunch, she literally said, because Shaylin told me that Shaylin couldn't sit. She made sure that she told her where to frickin' sit. Ask an attorney about what? Hi, Sunflower Darkness. Hi there. And boy, the mama bear came out. The mama bear. Between that and all these other things, right? When Shaylin was born, she had the teeniest split between her teeth. It wasn't a big gap or anything. She said things about that. Well, when it came to where she was telling her where she had to sit and eat, or that she couldn't sit at a certain table with all the, because they were in the same class too. Gee, I went up there, never forget it. And I didn't say anything. The principal didn't know I was coming either. And I paid my money for my lunch, and I had a plan, and I followed through. I had my tray, and I went and I put it down by my daughter, and I walked right up to that girl. And I didn't yell, I didn't intimidate. I probably embarrassed though, and I didn't care. She was 5 or whatever she was, maybe 6 then. I think she was 5. And I knelt down in front of like the whole class. And I said, "You do not have the right to tell my daughter," I said it like that, "where to sit and where to be when she eats lunch." Well, someone went and got the principal, and he came in and he knew me and he knew the situation and all that. He didn't grab my arm or anything. He just said, "Come with me." And he said, "I understand the situation, and you can have lunch with your daughter, but you'll have to eat outside." Now, I could have been like, "Are you effing kidding me?" And blah, 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 blah. No, I just said, okay. I said, "This is what she's doing to my daughter." And I'll say her little name. I'll say her, Tiara was her name. Tiara, whatever it was. Tiara. Not a tiara, right? But it was Tiara. And so I said, "Shaylin, we get to sit outside." She didn't really know what was going on or anything. And yeah, so we sat on the outside on this little thing, and we had our lunch. And I didn't go back again, but I made my point, didn't I? So I never said, "Shaylin, fight back, call her names. If you get bullied, then you need to bully back." No. But then it transgressed to here. And when her mom heard that, she was at my door. Boom, boom, boom. It was so loud. My son was a teenager, and he was scared. It was that loud. And I didn't answer the door, but I went to the peephole, and it was her and her daughter. And she was like, "Let me in, let me in." So I called the police, and they called her on the phone. And because he said, "We talked to so and so on the phone," and this and that and the other thing. Because she was very threatening, and it was kind of scary. And I tried to get a restraining order against her, and I couldn't. And the next year, after more crap, her saying things on the first day of school, on the first, yelling at my daughter when she's trying to, like, she's getting off the back of my bike and she's trying to go in, and she's saying things to my daughter. And I got my ducks in a row, and I put down the past stuff and the more future stuff. And I got a restraining order. The judge let me have it. I couldn't believe it. Well, I could believe it, but I really didn't know. And it was for 4 years. It wasn't one damn year. And I never spoke to that woman again. I used to be a waitress, and I've been a cocktail waitress, and I've been a secretary for some nuns at the Diocese of Burlington, Vermont. lunch recess with both and sit in on class. I did this 3 hours a day. That I could say to my boys, your dad is cool. Yeah, I mean, it was, and then we would, this little girl's mother and myself would come in on, I think it was Wednesdays, and, um, go through the spelling papers and grade. And I mean, she would look over and glare at me, and she'd have to move way down. And I mean, this is the thing. I put up with a lot. And I mean, it was a little while ago, but that's not the point. And then she lived here another good 4 years, and finally they moved. I got to tell you, it was a real relief. Um, because she'd be walking down the sidewalk to get her mail, and I'd be coming down this way, and I literally went not out in the middle of the parking lot like I'm all afraid of her, but I just scooted around. I didn't even look at this woman. Yeah, I have a lot of stories to tell, and the older you get, the more you have, right? But so my kids were bullied, and pretty damn bad. I mean, they weren't no, I'd say really bad bullying, right? Even though that was psychological, it's like pushing and hitting, and I'm going to beat the crap out of you if you do this tomorrow and all that. Yeah, I bet that bully shit wasn't happening with my boys while I was at the school. Parents that just sit back these days and, oh, it's a phase, and no. I mean, kids left and right. 8-year old boy taking his own life. I'm not going to talk about SUICIDE on here, but it's prevalent. And honestly, I can see why. They don't see any hope, you know. And it's worse now. I mean, that was like 5, 6 years ago, and now with all this internet stuff, I mean, it's just, and so I didn't my kids, and I didn't let them until they were 18 have a phone where they had a little flip phone if they missed the bus or needed to call me. They didn't have that, oh, meet me for a joint down the street at midnight, in middle school, and then I'm being lied to, and oh, I want to spend the night at such and such. No. No, I knew where my kids were all the time, and I knew who they were hanging out with. I used to deliver groceries 2 different places full of nuns. They followed me around like a prisoner. Well, I like filled out envelopes, and I put papers together, because I took typing in high school, and dictation, or I mean, the heck is that called where you write really quick? Oh, not stenography, but I think it's dictation, and they don't even have that really anymore. So my major is business. But waitressing is what I mostly did because, I like to party, and I like to have some money every day. Those tips. Back then, you didn't have to give the dishwasher money, and the bartender, and the hostess. And then, you make whatever in tips, and then you go home with 5, 10 bucks out of 50. No, it wasn't like that. Your tips were your own. But the hourly wage when I worked at a pizza joint, $1.80 an hour. Yes, things were cheaper back then, but And so I got paid weekly, and I got a $40 check either each week or every 2 weeks. Now I'm just not completely certain, but I signed that over to my mom when I was 18, and that's how I paid rent. And that was her idea. And it was good. Taught me some responsibility, you know, my part of the rent, just because I was 18. So, yeah. And then I did telemarketing here and there. That was fun because it's easy for me to talk to people. But making money, shoot. No, I would, shoot, I could never be a nun. I mean, I've been to church, and I do believe in God, but I'm just more like, no one's around now. It's just me. My dad died in 2021. My sister lived another year and a half with her cancer, and she was hopeful. You know, she did her radiation and her chemo and her infusions and her, I can't remember if she had surgery, but she had ovarian cancer. Yeah, and then my mom had stomach cancer at the end after her stress induced heart attack and her little stroke, and she was 82. And I have cousins and uncles, but they're in the Midwest. They're in Iowa. I don't know, right? I don't know who. Let me see this. Oh my God, that's bright. Let me see this. See this? Look at my face. Okay, that's not my face. That's a 25, 30-year-old face, or 15, not 15. Teenage, perfect, flawless face. So I don't even have that on anymore because, you know, my V card in college, I lost that with my boyfriend when I was 16. Yeah, I was with him a year. He was the captain of the football team. I was not a cheerleader. I couldn't believe he was interested in me, right? 1980 at 310 an hour. Oh my God. Well, that's a lot. 310 an hour? Well, I made $1.80 because I got tips, right? So yeah. Um so uh so you have invisible strength, but your strength isn't shown. Okay, what I'm trying to do with some of these videos is help other people. My channel isn't even so much entertainment purposes. I've noticed that. I've talked about the control wheel of domestic violence because I took new beginnings classes here for people like that. And I learned at this place, we weren't allowed to take them aside when we're leaving and say, oh, you got to get out of that. He's going to kill you or whatever, you know, because the most dangerous time to leave or for your life is when you try to leave. So these classes teach you about boundaries and how to get your ducks in a row and how to do it safe. And you learn about everything. I mean, I didn't know there was such thing as marital RAPE. I mean, and I got certificates. Now, do I remember all right that I read? No, but I still have the paperwork. I still have it and my certificates. And now, since my medical maladies, which people think I talk about too much on here, you can never be reminded of how quickly a stroke can come and the signs. It's not profuse sweating and all that, like it kind of is for men and things, even though it's not even just that. It's a real bad pinch that won't go away, even in your arm or even your leg. It can be anything. I used to live in Portland, Maine. Oh my goodness. Yeah. My friend Team Rose is over there. Not in Portland, but that place. You should check out her channel. It's sub up to her. McDonald's fired me. Team Rose. And she also has a radical Rose. And she's my age. I'm 63. I'll be 64 on the 27th of this month. So, invisible strength, you don't have to show your strength. It's just there, right? You're competent, you're capable, and you're genuine. Your behavior shows your responses to pressure, and it's not aggressive, but it's accurate. Fear hides and masks the leverage that you can have with yourself against people. You're not avoiding conflict by doing that. And it's harder to resolve conflict when you're holding on to a resentment. And we all know that. 55. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. No, absolutely not. I was born in 1962 when Marilyn Monroe died. She died in 1962. And after the documentaries I've seen and the what is the word? The felonious, not felonious. The we'll just say shenanigans kind of that she got herself into, and she was actually going to blow the whistle on one of those presidents at the end, and you know, talk about their relationship. I read the whole book called Goddess, and that's Marilyn Monroe's story. Uh, and it was really interesting. It actually showed her autopsy picture of her. Okay, when you think of Marilyn Monroe, you think of all the makeup and the blonde flip hair and the perfect body and the smile, right? No, her eyes were closed, of course. She was laying on the thing. Her hair was wet and just back. And I had never seen like an autopsy photo. Hi, Zidhan. No, I'm divorced. I was with my ex-husband twice. We were married in the 80s and then in the 90s. First time 2 years, second time 8. I met Shaylin's dad. We were together 8. And then I didn't date all over, go out or anything. You know, I had 2 kids. But I did get on that Meet Me site because I kind of wanted to check it out. And I met Dennis and we were together 4 years. And then that ended because he moved to Idaho and got back into all his long distance trucking stuff. And I just couldn't. He wanted me to move to Idaho. And I mean, I met his 2 little girls. He met my daughter. And I didn't want to take her out of school and do that to her because I had been through that. Vermont to South Dakota to Vermont, to, back and forth, different schools in my life. And I didn't want to do that to her. And I don't know what's going on in his life. We talked a little bit on the phone, but it just stopped. I stopped. I mean, not to be mean, but it is what it is, and he made me a little mad because he wanted me to, send little pics and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, no, it needs to be over. I wished him the best, blah, blah, blah. And then for 8 years, I was with Darren. And I did. I mean, I had guys ask me to dinner and shove their number like this at me and try to talk to me. And for 5 years, I didn't date. I didn't even go have a soda with a guy. For one, I didn't want to. I was focusing on my sobriety. And for 2, I didn't want that, when you get involved in those relationships and then if you break up, then one might go drink. And I didn't want to be responsible for that. But I met Darren and we kept it secret for 8 years. And then that ended because he kind of liked his younger coworker and she liked him more or something. And they tried that for 3 years. And then he came back in my life. He showed up at my door. I couldn't believe it. And we went out a couple of months. And then it was nice and all, but he really went through some abuse and whatnot with this woman, like controlled behavior. Like you can't see your kids on the weekends, you're supposed to be, or grandkids, you're supposed to be with me, that kind of thing. And I'm not looking for anyone, and I don't ever want to get married again, but I didn't want to I'll just say it. I didn't want to just feel like a piece of ass. Do you know what I mean? Well, you wouldn't know because you're a man, but I didn't. And I talked to him about it, and oh, hi, Silver Lake Shrooms. Yes, have a good night, Miss Bellingham. Ooh, do you have Snapchat? No, I don't have that or Instagram or anything. I'm from Vermilion, South Dakota. Thank you for being here, to the person that said goodnight, Miss Bellingham. I'm from Vermilion, and that's 20 minutes from the border of Iowa. And my dad and his grandparents were in Akron. Like, it's a puny town, one little bowling alley and whatever. Um, let's see. Yeah. And then it was nearish Decorah, where my mom ended up. But before that, she was in the middle of Florida. And before that, in, now I can't remember the name, very middle of Florida, and I can't remember. It started with F. But anyway, and before that, 10 years in Key West. That would be a cool place to live, except the hurricanes. I mean, you guys, they're more prevalent now, more intense. People have to like get off that island. And what? No, Barbara. Oh, next to Akron, and then your state. Yeah, not Iowa, right? You've been all over the U.S. I've been not really, Zidhan. I mean, you can comment. I've had other people. I'm not trying to be all. I'm not toot my horn. I just um you got to stay safe these days. And I even though my kids are adults, they're with me. Ohio. Okay. That's what I thought. But it's flattering. It's flattering when the opposite sex wants to meet you. I've been through Texas on a plane. I've been through Montana and other states in a car and on the train that I took with my daughter when she was 7 to see my mother. That was in 2011. So through, right. I got a little piece of dried skin or something that's bugging me. I've never been to like Georgia. I was through when I took the Greyhound bus the 2 different times, once from Seattle to Florida and another time from Seattle to Rhode Island. I visited a girlfriend in Rhode Island, and then I went on to Vermont, and that was after a breakup with my ex. Um, was that before we got married? Yeah, that was before we ended up getting married in 95. And at that time, my sister was living in Davenport, Iowa. So I visited her in the middle. So, yeah, I've done a lot of traveling. I've never been to Mexico. And I've never really experienced Texas. That would be kind of fun, like Houston or something. Um, and I've never been to Tennessee except Chattanooga. And I've said this before, that was just to get in a pickup and pull this bunch of furniture for some friends of my friends. And they asked if I wanted to go for a joyride. And it took like 3 days to get there from Vermont, or maybe 2.5. I don't know. And then we dropped the furniture off, went to this. That was my first experience in like a hot springs, and the water in the ground. And there was pies and bottles of wine at this picnic. And we went there, and I got to really experience the southern voice. Like, where are you from? Top deal, you know. But and then Burlington, Vermont, as you know, is Lake Champlain is there, and right across the lake in New York is where Mary Jane Doe, my head mod, lives. And I've been to New York City because my mom lived on a houseboat for 4 years on the Hudson River, and I visited her one time. I took the train from Vermont. Uh, yeah. So, and now I've been here since 2001, and I'm getting older. I'm getting a little tired. I do all I can to take care of my grown adult children. My daughter helps me a lot. My son has some anxiety and OCD and bipolar and schizoid affective disorder and depression and all these things, which is called comorbid. Um, but it's his severe OCD he's really suffering with. He's starting to walk, and then he feels like on one side of the living room he has to turn around and go back and take that step forward again. And I'm like, when I see it, I go, no, no, don't make another compulsion for yourself. But yet his intrusive thoughts are much better now. So yeah, and he's on Celexa, which he was on when he was a teenager, but he was on Zoloft for OCD, anxiety, and depression for 6 years. And he's like, Mom, I really want to try something else. And so he tapered off the correct way, and he has a psychiatrist, and we did everything the right way. And he's only been on it 2 months, but I'm starting to see a change, for the better. So yeah, it's a lot. And it's but really, I have a lot to be thankful and blessed for. Have you dated military? My ex was in the Air Force. He was military police. He ended up being that. He didn't want to be. This is the story. His dad was still alive then, and he was like in training and stuff. And he was like, Dad, I really, don't like this that much. And he said, whatever you're told to do, just do your best. And he did. He got 100 shots to where it was supposed to go 100 times in a row. Expert shooter, my ex-husband. But now he's kind of sickly and older, and he's alone, and he's in Eastern Washington. He's like 6 hours from me. And we haven't seen him, and he hasn't seen his son since 2020 when he brought him back. And my son was very indecisive. I counted. I have OCD too, but not intrusive thoughts, just being very neat, Nick, and tidy. And I like to know where everything is. If I need a rubber band, I know where it is, But yeah, yeah. So that's my short term memory. I don't even know why I brought that up. Oh. So he was back and forth 19 different times, down, back 2 months later. The longest he's been away from me and his sister is 5 months. And when I saw him, he looked a little different. And but other than that, it's a week, it's 2 weeks. My ex did a lot of driving, bringing him back. I mean, think about that: 6 hours, 6 back, because he'd change his mind. And I won't get into it here, but things weren't that easy when he lived with his dad, due to different issues and things. And things weren't perfect here, but at least he had a psychiatrist. At least he knew where the doctor was. At least he had a sister. At least he had a mother that was sober, like completely. At least his friends, right, were in this town, or he had better connection that way. And so for the last 10 years, that's kind of been his life. Or I mean, the last 6 he's been here, my son. But then 4 before that, it was something else. Like when he would leave, that's that black car that revs his speeds out on his with his NOS, and all the kids get excited. It's really funny. It's this little black car, and we have speed bumps out here. So he'll floor it seems like, and then he'll slow down and go over the bump and floor it. And yeah, so I mean, so yeah, so he was MP, and he worked all night sometimes, or other times I remember getting up at 4 in the morning and popping some popcorn and making a lunch so he'd have something to snack on, and ironing his uniform and all this because it was damn hot. I mean, it did feel like you were stepping into an oven. Like when I visited Virginia, it was beautiful. Yeah, the sun was bright in my eyes and I wore my sunglasses and I could feel the heat, but it was the kind of heat where you're at the beach for a while and you start feeling hot. No one knows what hot is unless you're in the Philippines or Okinawa or maybe like the desert, right? In Palm Springs or something like that, California. Yeah. And I've said this story before, but the cockroaches, back then, I don't know about anymore. This was 1986. Big as Coke cans. I mean, and so he said he would kick them around with his boots on. Yeah, only there, only Okinawa. I've never been to Hawaii. There are some states I haven't like visited. But yeah, my parents got divorced when I was 10. I lived with just my dad and my sister from the age of 10 to 14. And then I moved with my mother when I was 14. I was there until I was like 20. And then I went to college, and that lasted one semester because I was sexually harassed like a lot. And these people, it was like Johnson State, Vermont is a real, well, I don't know what it is now, but back then it was kind of not hippie, but this laid back, pot smoking, gotta ski with your best skis, every weekend, and then do the best you can during the week at this college up on this big snowy mountain, and a lot of partying. And yeah. Oh God, the Philippines has been struck by a major earthquake, devastating. I saw that and I didn't know it was the Philippines. And when I didn't see like, what did I see? I didn't see it, but I read the thing on my iPad and I think it said like Asian or something. It didn't say the country. And it said at that point 19 dead, but maybe there's more now. Yes, McDonald's avatar person. Just yesterday, I showed a bunch of pictures. You should check that program out. And I'm going to show pictures of my sister um, and more of Parker. And I'm trying not to show my ex. And I had pictures of Mike, Shaylin's dad. I gave them all, every single one. And I didn't have that many, but all of them to my daughter. So she has pictures of her dad. They're not very close anymore. Yeah, I mean, take a look at that. It's kind of interesting. There's a video of a store collapsing. I honestly thought it was AI. Is it that white building? Because, ow, I'm leaning on my wrist all this time. So, and then on top of everything, I'll just say this because this was a really significant thing in my life. I was 27 and I did meet a guy younger than me. He was 19, but he lied so he could be a bouncer because I guess he had to be at least 21, and he lied, and he was from Florida and he had a motorcycle and he was so gorgeous, you guys. Oh my God, looked kind of like Axl Rose. The bandana and the long hair and the chiseled features, could have been a model. He was tall. Anyway, we went out for a couple of years, but then we broke up because he actually went to jail. And then he ended up going to prison for 4 years. And that's in some of my other videos. He convinced me that he needed a pew pew, and all I had to do was show him my ID. And I said no, but then he showed up in a car. I don't know how that happened. He was locked up in a correctional center. To this day, I don't know how that happened. He told me to get in. I said no. He said, get in, and then next thing I know, we're pulling into a gas station and I'm showing my ID, which was my passport, from Okinawa. And he did, you guys. He purchased a sawed-off shotgun, like sawed off. And, it wasn't like to hurt anyone. He said he needed it for protection. And like a dumbass, I believed him. And no one ever got hurt with that or anything, but he went to prison 4 years for that. And then I was over here in Washington State. And then he got out. And Joe and I were going through our issues, but he knew he was writing me somehow. And now I can't remember. Oh, I got something in Florida. And he went from the long hair to Aryan Nation. I mean, he was covered with tattoos. His face, his neck, covered with tattoos, and had shaved his head. And I got this picture of him, and it was, you don't have crazy eyes. No, I don't have crazy eyes. And honestly, like, it was kind of mortifying. It was like, good God. And he told me he saw someone get murdered in prison. And that's when he became Aryan Nation, because he was that frightened. And then things got so bad for him in prison, he had to be moved. I mean, the stories and the things, I got letters from him for 10 years. And then he started kind of asking me and hinting me for money for a Snicker bar and a radio and this and that. And I just, it kind of upset me. And then he still had like 6 or 7 more years to go. And my son was getting more like psychosis kinds of things happening in his life. And I couldn't deal with someone that had been in prison like almost his whole life. Correctional centers in Vermont, some detention weird place where he got beat with a paddle in Florida. You know what I mean? And then 4 years in prison. And then now he's back in because he robbed a bank, high on drugs. Didn't kill anyone, but that's not the point. And he got 39 years. So, I didn't write him or anything, but then I did. And institutionalized, yeah. And he told me his brother gave him cocaine when he was 12. And he was hooked. And it's a miracle, because I could have done that stuff being with him, and I've never done it. I've never done hard drugs. I've never put a NEEDLE in my arm. I've never taken acid or anything like that. And I've dabbled in plenty of pot and hashish and bongs and all that crap. And I tried shrooms once at Disneyland, and I've drank plenty. And in the 80s, speed was kind of a big deal, right? Keep you all excited and alert. You cannot eat for the life of you. And that's it. But he was into CRACK, if that's whatever the 8-ball thing is, if that's CRACK. Like, I know I should know. I'm not trying to be naive. I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, and then he started trying to steal my waitress tips, and it was just, but anyway, so we got 39 years, and I think I told Mary Jane this, or I blurted it out on a live. He got out 4 or 5 years, I think 4 years earlier. And I have Facebook and Messenger, and he found me, and it's him. It's his first name, his last name. I recognize his face. He's late 50s now. I haven't seen him personally since he was 19 and had to do his 4 years. His hair is like medium short. One eye, because he told me he got beat up really bad. He said by the guards. I can't remember which prison this was. I want to say Ohio, but I could be totally wrong, could be Florida. He was constantly at different places. He wanted to get a lawyer. He wanted me to help. He wanted, and all I could do is really empathize and this and that. I never made promises to be with him when he gets out or anything. But he made me homemade cards and with glitter on them, and and he's not a foo-foo kind of guy, you know what I mean, with glitter. And when his hair was long, he was he was Caucasian looking. He didn't even have like dark skin, but he would tan. And he sent me homemade earrings, black, white, and red Indian beaded, earrings. And I don't know if I ever wore them. And I saved for years the little silver bracelet. I saved that thing even when Joe and I got married. I didn't tell him, but it was real silver. It's all tarnished now, and it's just little. And I remember when he bought it for me when I was 27, and he put it on my wrist, and I had that thing. It was intense. And in all honesty, I don't even know why, but I will say this. The whole big box of all the letters and cards he sent me, I still have. They're in the closet in the other room, and I've shown those pictures. Maybe I'll go ahead and show them tomorrow. I could grab some now and show him. He doesn't know I have a channel. Like, I know he doesn't. But he actually contacted me on Facebook. I just about died. It came in my thing. I wasn't even looking it up. It came in my thing. And it actually said, Megan, I'm out. Hit me up. And I saw it a year later, a year and 2 months later. No, I'm serious. He doesn't know anything about PCT paper cut. I know he's not watching. Now, I was curious, right? So I went to his profile and I looked to see who his friends were. And the pictures looked like prison pictures. They looked like his friends that he met in prison. Like, you could just tell the hard cement walls behind some of them and this and that. And I did. I was like, it was one evening and I was looking at this and I was like, I easily could just type some little thing to one of his friends and say, where is he living now? Because he moved. He was working in North Dakota. Couldn't freaking believe it, because he told me years ago when we were writing, he was going to be staying in New Jersey with a cousin. And he's freaking in North Dakota, and I'm from South Dakota. And I'm going to say it. It was Fargo, North Dakota. We've all heard of that. I don't know if it's a big city. And I couldn't really tell what he was doing, but I'm not going to say here, but it was some construction company. And I saw him. He had a little reel of himself, and there was all this snow around. He had big, thick gloves on and these things on his eyes. And he was working on something, and these spikes were going, and it was loud. And oh, you guys, you don't even know how weird that was. It was like a step back in time. So then, to be kind and to let him know, but that's opening up a big can of worms, right? But I did. I went ahead and I said, hi, it's me. I just saw your thing. A year's gone by. And as soon as I did that, I'd say like 5 minutes later, maybe 2, I deleted it. I was like, what are you doing? Think about it. Like, what if he's, I don't know. Like, what if he wanted me back and I just wanted to be friends? What if he turned into a stalker? What if my kids were at risk? What if I was at risk? What if he showed up at my door? Yeah, no, this isn't Darren. That's a guy I went out with for 8 years. This is someone I went out with when I was 27 and I'm 63. And in my 50s, I was writing this man in prison. And I sent him some stamps, right? A book of stamps. What's the big dang deal, right? No, not allowed. They were sent back to me. And I like to put a little on the end of the darn letter and spray some perfume, and my favorite kind is God, now I can't remember the Happy by Clinique. It's cat's meow, ladies. Try it out. Retire. No, I was able, when I was married to my ex, I was a stay-at-home mom. So I wouldn't say I retired, but I was a stay-at-home mom. And then after that, there were domestic violence situations. I'm not going to get into it with the courts. And I was able to get on housing because I couldn't be with him. I wasn't allowed. And I moved into this apartment complex. And apparently I've been a good enough tenant to stay all this time. Yeah. And have things been perfect? No, I'm not perfect. You're not supposed to have alcohol at the playground. Well, I did. I put it in a thing with a lid, just some wine or maybe beer, and I got caught by one of them. She was a lady that knew the maintenance guys, and she was in my business. Why, I don't know, and I can't remember her name. And she walked right up to me and took it out of my hand, took the lid off and smelled it. And I just looked at her, and then I got a comply or vacate, it's called. They have 3-day comply or vacates here or 10-day. And if you don't comply or vacate, you're out. I've seen the sheriff come and put things on people's doors and then yellow tape. Yeah, they don't mess around. So that I wasn't perfect there. And then Shaylin's father had a misdemeanor, one little misdemeanor from way back, a domestic violence thing with his brother, like at that point 5 years prior or something. So he wasn't allowed to live here, and I had a child and everything with him, and I snuck him in, and he'd hide his car in different places. And he had a really fancy bright canary colored it looked kind of like a Mustang, but it wasn't, and it looked kind of like a Corvette, but it certainly wasn't. It was like something fancy in between that. And the office said, we see Mike's car, comply or vacate. I was short 14 credits to get a certain amount. But when I turned 62, it was my ex that told me I could apply for Social Security. And I did, and I got it. And is it very much? No. Is it under 200? Wait, let me think. What are my two different things? I think it's a little bit over 200 a month. And many people, they wait till they're 64, 65, and they get this 600 or 800 or whatever. So yeah, I get a menial amount, but I'll tell you what, it really helps. Takes that edge off, when there's something we need. So speaking of money, if anybody wants to tip your hostess with the non-mostess, that's my new saying, non-mostess, feel free. I said yesterday that my PayPal was, well, anyway, my Cash App is $ paper cut Tina. Tina's capital and P for paper cut, okay? And I said that was my PayPal. No, that's my Cash App. My PayPal is at Dakota with a capital D, Dakota and Dame right next door, capital D, and my birth date, 0627. which is June 27th. So if anyone wants to, for my time and my energy and my expert dancing, which that's laughable because I've never had lessons. I just like to swivel my hips and I love music and it's good cardio for me because of what I've been through. That would be really neat. Oh, wait, I didn't finish this yet. I want to finish this. So you want to be predictable, have clarity, manage things resolutely, and that your limits do have consequences and they're not negotiable. This goes with the head of the title of my thing. Consistency creates recognition. I really liked that. If you're consistent in your thoughts and beliefs, you're recognized by others for that. Team Rose, if you see this, remember that. And it's not revisable. It's a pattern. It shows people who you are. Signaling leverage is done because you've signaled your leverage to the outside world. And that's your data point. And there are no expectations because that's the data point. It's positive and no strength is shown because it's invisible strength. I already said that. You're competent, you're capable, and you're genuine. Your behavior responses to pressure are not aggressive, but it is accurate. And fear with all of this hides your leverage. So if you're not consistent and you don't give people clarity of what you're willing to put up with, for fuck's sakes, on the internet, they're going to try to steamroll over you with their friends, with other creators, with your friends, with your subscribers. They'll make videos about you, whatever. And you're not avoiding conflict by having leverage. No, honey, rapper, I have one mod. Remember all the blue? Everyone was blue. Anybody that visited me and gave me support more than once or twice became a mod. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to keep it simple. And I've known Mary Jane Doe for so long. She's in my messenger. She's so good. So good. She's a mod on a lot of channels. She's always available, which I don't expect. She's such a good friend and honestly a sweet gal. So don't take that personally. Like, just don't. He probably wants to be a mod, Mary Jane Doe, because he likes you so much or is in love with you and you're a mod. But I just can't do it. Yeah, so you're not avoiding conflict and you're holding your line. And if you don't do these things, you become resentful, Team Rose, exhausted, because I've been hearing, yes, you do more than try, Mary Jane Doe. I've been hearing Rose say things like, this is just exhausting. Yeah, you go through exhaustion. You're looking for your limits and they're looking for your limits and it becomes exhaustion. They're looking for your limits. You brood resentment and then you can have a breakdown. I mean, that's what he said. No, sweetie. When I have mods again someday or I need a second mod, you'll be the first one, okay? You'll be the first one I mod. Because, you've been a good supporter of mine for like 2.5 years. He came in, I think, the first night I did a live. Okay, and this doesn't have to be, like he said, perpetually done over and over. No. It's like one time of absolute clarity and it's non-negotiable, no explaining, no drama, just stillness. Relationships are not a theory anymore, it's evidence. It's evidence of what you're showing, what your limits are. And if your limits aren't respected, there's costs / consequences. You're sweating. It's that warm in New York. Yesterday it was pouring pell-mell rain down. This morning it was pouring rain. Then it was gray. Then I brought some garbage down, like some recyclables and stuff. And it was so cold. I had a sweater thing on with the hood up. I mean, when I came inside, I told my daughter, I said, it feels like it's so cold. It felt like it could not necessarily snow, but like it was fall time. It was weird. You speak in a calm tone. You're forthright. You're not asking for invitations for like feedback and whatnot. Your statements are held, and your silence and your resolve is with clarity. And then he brought up recalibration, which I think I've heard of the word, but I didn't know what it meant. And that means you're credible. Or no, that doesn't mean that. It means you want to be credible, and your consequence does not involve threats, right? It's just one time you're clear. And because fear is misused and destroys what it's supposed to protect. Fear, misused, destroys what it's supposed to protect. And I have one more page, or two more. Fear, it does not mean that you have to control the situation. And no, fear is trying to control the situation, not being honest. There's expectations of the other person, but your goal needs to be, hello to the 20 in the palm trees, the goal needs to be lasting respect by holding your position, not testing, no testing being done, okay? And certainty. So, like, I'm just going to say this about Team Rose because she does lives, and I'm going to stick my 2 cents worth in. I don't think she'll get upset. But this thing with Mississippi, you make a video and you say, right, not one more word. Don't say one more word about me, right? That little video. But then you did a video, right? Or before that, on Mississippi. Which, because she's harassing you. But today, you didn't do a video on her, but you brought her name up. And that is going to confuse her. I mean, after hearing this, and to me, that's testing. You're kind of testing her, right? To see if she will be absolved from confronting you and giving you conflict and strife and mentioning your name. You're not supposed to test. I'm trying to be helpful, Rose, because I love you and you're my friend. You have to have certainty. If you don't, you become afraid, and that brings anxiety to people, instability, and it invites rebellion. So trying to test people's limits, if people aren't clear where they stand, literally, and testing people invites rebellion. I found that interesting. So by demanding by your actions, not by verbally yelling. And I'm not talking to Rose anymore. I'm just talking to people out there because this is an educational channel, I think, from this point on. You're stable. You're quiet and you're not testing. And you no longer have to develop limits because they're set. You don't have to keep developing limits. And you're not fake. It's real. Okay? In your resolve. Is this the last page? Yes, it is. And I was writing so fast. You use the correct tone, and people do rise to the level with a consequence. They do rise to the level of that. Cost is how you are treated. That's the cost. There's a cost to these other people out there, and that is that your resolve, and my resolve, and anyone else going through this stuff, that you're not testing the person. Call it whatever. Done. You're clear, but you can say it in a kind way. Okay, clear back. I didn't want to say her name. I'm just going to say it. With Sierra, I had the door open, and I mean like 80% of the way, to the point where I did a live to her mods, which are my mods, even after she vented and sent them messages that should have been to me. But she did send them to me because she decided with her mods that should be done. And I said, we're good. But then when I was silent and had my resolve and clarity in my mind by the videos that were being made of me, I still stayed quiet on Messenger. I didn't go live. I didn't do anything. I didn't talk about her situation with anybody, not anyone. I didn't mention nothing. Team Rose did say to me in Messenger, what's going on with you and Sierra? Are you having problems or something? You know, it was then that I said, well, look at her videos. Look at this. And then this is mine. That's it. There was no the next week, oh, things are getting a little better, and discussing it. And no, nothing. And she didn't bring it up again to me. So 3 weeks of silence while 10, because I counted them, videos were made about me. Now, not all 10 had my name in them or were about me, but I checked them out. All of them, but 2. I mean, or no, all of them but 4. That's a lot in 3 weeks. So then, I'm doing videos and I'm defending myself, and it's like, Jesus. And so then I knew, because I even verbalized it. I said, I don't want to be treated like a PJ. And I've seen the hell that woman's gone through at the expense of Sierra for 2 fucking years. Now, have I been that nice this past year to her and the things I've said? No. But did I apologize? Did I apologize? And it was genuine. You could tell when I wasn't very nice about her tiara and all this. I apologized because I saw the meaning of it. And it wasn't really her trying to like be all boastful and act like a queen. It was the meaning of the tiara meant like, don't look down upon yourself, or something. Now I can't remember, something like that. And she was crying, like she was hurt by people out there. Now, because of that, and me not staying on this damn bashing wagon of Jimmy and her, I am literally 2 months later in a video by her being told to the freaking public that the word wasn't cahoots, but I'm trying to be friends with them. And then she said on a video, the only reason I spoke to Jeannie all these years was to stay good with Dolly Vision or Jimmy. No, hell no. it started out with me being on the show. And out of the blue, she sent me a little necklace thing and a little turtle thing. And I just thought it was so sweet and so nice. And then the next thing I know, we're talking on Messenger. And the next thing I know, we were on Messenger phone, not a lot. And then the next thing I know, we're on regular phone. And that's where it kind of stayed. Off and on for 2 years. This last year, even more on. I mean, we tried to speak every week, and many times she'd be in the store shopping and she'd answer the phone. And I'd be talking away, and then she'd be like, "Well, I'm going to check out now and I'll be home in a little bit. Can I call you back?" And I'm like, "What? You're not home?" And so that was the kind of person she was with me. And to this day, I can honestly say I adore that woman. She's a very, very strong woman. But will she ever speak to me again? I don't believe so. Because she's also told me when she feels wronged by people, I mean, I'm not going to say names or anything, but it was a couple of guy friends, or at least one, I think two. When it's over, it's over. And so she is Barbara Thompson. She's so sweet. Like, even when she mods and Jimmy's, that's her real character, you know. But yeah, I told my story and then I badmouthed him, and in all honesty, like, it really was all that ice crap in Minnesota. I was just like, you know what? And then it snowballed into going up on white boys and being willing to, you know what I mean, let Flava talk about it. And I just, like, it's almost like I didn't care anymore who it hurt, including myself. But I kind of thought she'd come around, because she always said to me, "If I'm upset with you, you'll know it." Because I'd have these sort of paranoid moments. "Are you upset with me? Is that why you didn't call me in a week?" Or she'd be like, "No, I had to get a different phone," and blah, blah, blah. She's just not contacting me, like, at all. Now, did I try to get a hold of her on Messenger, like just 3 different times in 2 weeks? That's not very much. That's not every day. That's not harassing. Yeah. Did I get anything back? No. Did I try to call her phone? I think twice that first week. Did she answer or get back? No. And I haven't called again. I think I tried once on Messenger in case something's wrong with her phone. Just once. I don't think it was even twice. Nothing. So I lost a good friendship a really good friendship. Something we could have had for years to come. With my big mouth and my open thoughts and YouTube. And I hope she sees this. But to have Sierra say that I just stayed friends with her to, like, what, be with Jimmy again or something, that's utter, total bullshit. You know what else? It got to the point where this whole past year, I didn't even ask about him. I didn't say, "Are him and PJ still good?" Or, "Is he really going to visit you in Vegas?" or anything. No. I mean, it was obvious. They're together, they're happy, they're traveling, they're doing all this stuff, they're busy as shit. Now they're starting businesses. I mean, yeah, there was no mention, And apparently, when I had my heart attack, he heard my stress-induced heart attack. He told her, "Tell Tina," I think he said, "that I hope she's doing okay." And I didn't believe it. Like, I didn't. I said to her, "He did not. He did not." She's like, "Yeah, he did." And she said, "He cares for you." She said that to me. "He cares for you." So, I know in my heart he does. I don't even think to this day Dolly Vision hates my guts. I just don't. Scottish Weed Viking. What a great name. No, I haven't drank since 2011. I'm just talking about some of my past, what I've been through, and I'm covering where if you want respect, you almost have to demand it, but not in a cruel way. You don't have to yell it. You don't have to make threats or say there's punishments. It's just you have to be clear and have consequences. So, I guess I'll say this since I talked a lot about Jeannie and I never know what I'm going to talk about. If she hears this or she watches it and she's willing to call my phone number, I'll probably just start bawling. Like, I probably will. I'll be in shock. But she made me laugh so much on the phone, and she gave me hope so often about just the situations in my life here. Okay, it had nothing to do for many, many past months now about not being in Dolly Vision chat, not going on a panel. Okay, that's all. What is the best word for it? It's past is an understatement. It's not in the past. It's more than that. It's not a figment of, it's not a, what is the word? I want to find a word. It's memories. Memories is what I have. And that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So anyway, I said that. Okay, so you want to, there is a cost how you're treated if you're not respected, and you can be generous, patient, and kind for this. And accommodating, you're accommodating your situation. I have the word self-erasure. Self-erasure. Now I can't remember what that means. But this was the positive part for you. I remember it wasn't anything negative. You have completed, completedness and no manipulation. That's the other thing. You've enforced your limits and you know your cost. And there is no room for ambiguity or ambiguousness. There's no room. So, am I expecting her to ever do a live on me, Sierra, after mentioning her name, which I haven't for days, and I didn't for 3 weeks back in March and April, and I didn't this past week. I don't believe I mentioned her name. But do I expect it now? Yeah. Because I distinctly know, even though she doesn't do lives on me as of late, she's thinking about me. A lot of times I'm the said creator out there, if Dolly Vision isn't, or PJ Vision. Because I don't want to give an apology. It's not only do I not owe someone one, I could go ahead and do it, but that's not going to bring the trust back. That's not going to make me feel good about what we had. And it's not going to make me think, do I want to set myself up for more problems down the road? That's why I'm not apologizing. Do I wish her the best? Yes, I do. Do I wish her son the best? Absolutely. He's a sweetheart. Do I, also too, she thinks because Team Rose and I are friends again and all this, why can't I just do that for her? It's different. Rose and I are so much alike. We're in the same kind of position with different things sort of in life. We've been through the same past things. Our age is identical. We're both Norwegian Viking people, frankly. And we both have good hearts, but we can get feisty and fight back if need be. And that's how I'm more used to be with the cyberbullying, with all the whatever. Now I am, before even reading this, when I found that, I was like, that's what I've been trying to do. That's who I've become. Because with these experiences on the internet, you learn what is okay and you learn what you can handle. And you also know the outcome of things by how people treat other people when they don't get what they want or get their way or get their closure. Okay, I cannot be the one in life to always give people their closure. I just can't. And it's not healthy for me. So on that note, I'm going to go, and I wanted to read for days now out of my Simple Abundance book. I'm going to end the show with this. Really cute. Simple Abundance, a day book of comfort and joy by Sarah Bon Breathnock. N-A-C-H, Breathnock. And we're in June. And, you know, this is probably mostly for women in a way because it talks about different parts of the home and how you can, you know, get joy out of just doing the dishes and keeping the place clean for yourself and your children. Not every page or anything. Some of it is more spiritual than other things, but today's June 9th, and I'm going to try to remember. Now, see, it's about the kitchen. Bringing a sense of order to the kitchen. A confused mind cannot direct deft hands, and what is more confusing than a cluttered, disorderly place to work? What is more uninviting? 2. The grateful appearance of order. This is the one important way women judge each other's housekeeping, and every efficient housekeeper knows that in no room does it count for more than in the kitchen. That's by Woman's Home Companion, August 1924. Wow. I couldn't sleep at night if I gave you the impression that cleaning the kitchen is my idea of a great time. The very thought reminds me of a newspaper interview I did with two delightful, funny women who were the authors of a popular series of homemaking books. I nearly choked when they revealed that they didn't do their own house cleaning anymore because their success had enabled each of them to afford a cleaning woman. It was as if I had wandered behind a curtain and met up with the affable old man the Munchkins believed was the Wizard of Oz. Sharing this delicious morsel with my readers would be going for the jugular, and bloodletting has never been my sport. Besides, the practical information they conveyed in their books made sense and was fun to read. Still, I had a difficult time writing the feature, which, by the way, the two women and their publisher loved. So let me be the first to confess from the heart that I have not yet found the way to turn cleaning kitchens into a simple pleasure. Being flesh, blood, and bone, I need a little more time to evolve. This probably explains why. When our home caring tasks were divided up, I opted for cooking, which I do enjoy, while my dearly beloved volunteered to clean the kitchen on the nights he doesn't have meetings. One of the many reasons he is dearly beloved. On the nights he's out, you'll find me at the kitchen sink, attempting to learn from the Vietnamese Buddhist monk, poet, writer, Thich Nhat Hanh, the spiritual way to wash the dishes. In his book, The Miracle of Mindfulness, a manual on meditation, he suggests we approach washing the dishes as if it were the most important thing in life. I've read this before and I forgot. We are to consider each dirty bowl as sacred. I have not gotten to that point of transcendence, but I try my best to approach washing the dishes as if it were the most important thing I could be doing at that moment. Much of our daily round takes place in the kitchen. Cooking and cleaning can be contemplative pursuits, but not if you're surrounded by clutter. Still, I dreaded getting in there. I procrastinated for months, always finding something more urgent that needed my rapt attention. But the amazing grace and the simple abundance process prevailed. With the other rooms in my house slowly becoming organized, the state of the kitchen didn't just irritate me, it drove me stark, raving mad, especially every time I opened a cupboard door. Back, 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 I'd yell at the hundreds of used margarine tubs tumbling out at me. Finally, I faced the truth. If this room were truly the heart of my home, it was no wonder I was experiencing palpitations every time I went in there to work. Like the clearing out process in the living room, I sorted and organized my kitchen as best I could according to function. We have a small, narrow kitchen the size of a galley in a boat, and space is at a premium. When you organize your kitchen, regardless of its size, keep in mind that there are several different kitchen activities that take place there: the preparation, cooking, serving of food, clearing up after the meal, and dishwashing. Once I got in there, I cleared and tossed clutter without a moment's hesitation, and you will too. As in the other rooms, what I could not identify kept in a box for my husband to ponder. This is the most illuminating encounter between a man and a woman. You'll discover in, why they call men the opposite sex when you have your spouse or partner identify such objects. The moment of truth occurs when he tries to retrieve objects from the trash bag, the disgusting chipped Teflon frying pan from his college days that is seasoned just perfectly now, the wine making apparatus from a previous lifetime, or the crock pot that can never be washed out properly because of the dangling electrical cord. Just make sure you dispose of these sentimental treasures on the sly. As I've recommended before, clearing out clutter is, in my opinion, a solitary occupation. The next time you're searching for the kitchen scissors, cleaning out the refrigerator, or scouring a greasy casserole dish, remember that the sacred can be found in the ordinary when we seek it. I can't promise you that it works every time, but if it works even once, it's worth engaging in your heart. Tomorrow I'll be reading, or the next time I go live, which should be tomorrow, A Nook of Your Own. There's creating a plan for personal papers, secret passions, scented linen closets. Now this was written, it was actually a book that, I watched her show forever. Oh, that African American woman back in the 80s, you know who I'm talking about. Darn it. A Simple Abundance, a Daybook of Comfort and Joy. It was probably written in the 90s. But yes, 1992. Yep, 1992. 30 years ago. Wow. Wow. Oprah, see? Did I say she started with O? Or, yeah, O. See? But I can remember, my ex wanted money for a radio and a Snicker. And I can remember when my baton lessons were, when I was 10. What time and what day? Thursdays, 8 o'clock. Now, it's probably because I rode my bike there, like in the dark and everything when I was 10. Because back in the day, you could kind of do that, get away with it, or survive it, whatever. Okay, so, and they're not all like kitchen and stuff. It's like make room for mystery, awaken to the magic, joyful simplicities for October. Each month has different things. Joyful simplicities for July. What I'm going to do is read June's joyful simplicities and then end my live. Because I forgot, it kind of reminds you of what the month kind of entails, right? See, there's June. I wonder what it would be like to live in a world where it was always June. That was written by L.M. Montgomery. June is generous with her authentic gifts. Once again, the days are sunny and hot. The roses and peonies are in bloom, and it's time to feast on strawberries and cream. School is over, summer camp begins, and visions of vacations dance in our heads. Our smiles deepen, our laughter increases, our hearts open. This month, we rediscover that it is life's enrichments rather than the riches of life that bring us true contentment. Isn't that beautiful? I just think that's beautiful, you guys. And on that note, I'm going to go. 192 minutes. Good grief. All right. If anyone wants to be a member, it's $1.99 a month. It'll help me get to my YouTube threshold. Thank you to all my regular people and the new people in here, and the chatting. And I love it when people ask questions. And I try not to repeat too many of my stories over and over again, but it's hard not to when you get people in that have no clue about you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Barbara. And let's see what else. Please hit the like and subscribe to me if you're willing to, and help me get to my goal of 5,000. I'm what am I? 4,819 or something. Like I might be a little higher today. I don't know. I really want to get to 4,000. Wait, 4,890, and then I only need what, 10 more? Wait, how's that? 80s? Yeah, I only need like 20 or 25 or something more, and I'll be at 5,000. I'll probably be bawling my eyes out. But anyway, thank you. Look at my past videos of the pictures and everything that I've shared, and I'm going to do more memory lane with dinosaur, huge, well, not dinosaur, but the dinosaur days feels like photo albums, because that's what I have. I'm on a flip phone. I don't have all these. Well, I have pictures saved, on a phone that broke, in case I ever, I guess, want to bring the SIM card, whatever the heck that is, to get them developed someday, which, I might not. I don't know. And yeah, but I'm not into all that big kind of, not yet, and I have tremors, so I need simple. Oh, were you? Looking at my old pictures. I'm a natural redhead. Like when I'm a baby, I have this red hair. And then it turned auburny-ish or whatever. If you look at some of my posts, I have pictures of me when I was 16 and whatnot. And it's kind of like a curly, wavy, blondish red auburn. It was auburn. And then I started dyeing it when I was 29. And this is chocolate cherry. I mean, there's a lot of red highlight. In this light, you really can't tell. But I really like it. If I pull up, see? I mean, I'm thinking of doing like something like this with my hair tomorrow. Kind of an oriental kind of look or something. I don't know. It's still pretty short. There's things I can do. Right? I can have longer bangs or bang bangs or have it like that, and it's growing out, so it's curling and flipping more, and I'm a lot happier with it than even a month ago or 2 months ago. But this is a bob for people that don't know. And it was like more of a Bixie, which is a bob and a pixie 2 months ago. Now it's more of a bob. There's bobs to here. There's bobs right to the chin. There's bobs to here. But yeah. So thank you. Thanks everyone for hanging out and the 20 plus before in the palm trees. I mean, it really does mean a lot to me. And I should be here tomorrow, probably doing some more pictures. I want to alternate, right? And then I'll do another little teaching thing on whatever, that we can apply to our lives, our everyday lives. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now. Hit the like and subscribe if you're willing to. Help me get to that 5,000.